Chapter 548. What can we do? Yi Wudao said calmly. Kang Teichu and Yi Zhantian are close friends. The Yi family has always been a thorn in Yi Zhantian's side. Sooner or later, he will have to fight with us. Kang Teichu is the leader of the Heavenly Alliance and all the overlords in the world have surrendered to him. Now that he has taken Yanjin, he is going to unify the underground world. Su Province is his base camp. It is like a sharp knife in the heart of the Yangtze River Delta. Also, both of our backgrounds aren't clean, and we're giving others a handle. If we don't side with Lu Lishuan, he can use his political power to destroy us with just a few words. What's more, Zhang Qianlei is the old monster. If Lu Lishuan wants to take Yanjin, how can Kang Teichu just stand by and watch? He is a ruthless man who kills people and exterminates families easily. Kai Zhijing said worriedly. Kang Teichu is already at the peak of the immortal state. Even the two living fossils of the Bai family are no match for him. I am afraid that if Yi Tianren and Hong Meng don't show up, only Zhang Qianlei, the best Dharma spellcaster in the world, can defeat him. A hint of apprehension appeared on Leaf Dao Denier's face. Zhang Qianlei used to be as famous as Yi Tianren. He had reached the phenomenal success level decades ago. Now he has been in seclusion for 50 years. I wonder how powerful he has become. Yi Wudao said confidently, the Lu family is the #1 family in the mortal world, and the Song family is ranked 3rd. They have their own influence and resources. Add to that Zhang Qianlei, an old monster who has been hiding in seclusion for a while, and the odds of winning against Jiang Taichu should be 50-50. We will act according to the situation. If Kang Teichu doesn't show up, we will support Lu Lishuan. But we will not fight with Kang Teichu. If he shows up, we will just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Yes. Kai Zhijing calmed down. The next day, in the evening, Jiang Tian finished a day of cultivation and was eating with Qing'er and the others. Suddenly, Gu Baixian called. Master Kang, Qing Cheng has been injured. Who did it? Jiang Tian asked with a frown. I don't know. A group of people suddenly rushed into my house and asked me where I got the copy of the map from the ruins of immortality. Qing Cheng and I didn't say a word, but the other party beat us up. Where are you now? I'll go take a look. Jiang Tian asked. 3rd People's Hospital. Jiang Tian drove as fast as lightning and soon arrived at the intensive care unit of the 3rd People's Hospital. On the hospital bed, Gu Qingchen was wearing an oxygen mask. Her breathing was weak, and she was wrapped in gauze like a mummy. However, Jiang Tian's divine sense could see that the little girl was bruised all over. Her skin was torn and her flesh was exposed. There were also many comminuted fractures all over her body. Her originally tender and translucent little face had been slashed several times and was wrapped in gauze. Beside her, Zhang Yilin, Zhang Zhonggua, and Zhang Danfeng were also present. It's all my fault, it's all my fault. I couldn't recognize all of those words, so I asked a few ancient language experts. That must be why the news was leaked. I'm the one who killed my daughter. Gu Baixian sighed and said with tears in his eyes, the doctor said her spleen was ruptured and she lost too much blood. The doctor said there was no cure. Don't worry, old Gu. I can cure her. Jiang Tian removed Gu Qingqing's oxygen mask and fed her a healing pill. He helped her up and placed his palms on her back, using his true essence to nourish her. Soon, Gu Qingqing woke up. As soon as she saw Jiang Tian, tears immediately fell from her eyes. She said weakly, Big brother Jiang Tian, we didn't say that you gave us the copy of the map from the ruins of immortality. Silly girl, even if you told them, they wouldn't be able to take it away from you, Jiang Tian said with a smile. No, I can't say. You saved my father's life. I can't be ungrateful. Gu Qingqing smiled and fell asleep again. Qingqing, she. Gu Baixian asked worriedly. Don't worry. Jiang Tian handed over 2 bottles of pills and said, take this bottle internally and use this bottle externally. You should be healed in a week. Gu Baixian took the bottles gratefully. Who did it? Did you find out? Jiang Tian glared at Zhang Zhonggua, who was on the phone. Zhang Zhonggua quickly hung up and said with a frightened expression, I found out. It was the Song family. Song Shuangyan's Song family. Jiang Tian's eyes flashed with a strong murderous intent. He snorted coldly and said, not bad. I haven't done anything to you, and you came to me first. You must be tired of living. He was about to use his divine sense to search for Song Shuangyan when his phone rang. It was Han Qingli. What's up? Jiang Tian asked impatiently. Jiang, Master Kong. Feeling the murderous intent in Jiang Tian's voice, Han Qingli was so scared that her whole body trembled. She hurriedly said, Song Shuangyan is holding a birthday banquet at Pine Wave Villa tonight. She invited me. Do you want to go together? Well, this saves me the trouble of using my divine sense to search. Jiang Tian thought so and said coldly, okay, come to the Third People's Hospital to pick me up. Tonight, Pine Wave Villa was brightly lit. A small banquet was being held in the front yard. Today's banquet was to celebrate the 29th birthday of the Song family's eldest daughter, Song Shuangyan. Song Shuangyan was wearing a custom-made red cheongsam from Rui Fuxiang. The slit revealed a section of her snow-white slender beautiful legs. She was wearing a pair of slender high heels. Her fine black hair was coiled behind her head with a priceless antique jade hairpin. Her elegant and refined little face was wearing light makeup. Her gaze was soft and rippling, and her smile was light and gentle. It made her look like a young lady from the Republic of China. Congratulations, Miss Song, happy birthday. May you live a long life. Around her, many young masters and ladies raised their wine glasses. Their eyes were full of reverence. They raised their wine glasses and congratulated her in unison. Among them, there were young directors of listed companies, self-made billionaires, top executives of foreign investment banks, and financial elites of industry giants. They were all immaculately dressed and had an elegant demeanor. Many young masters and stars were involved in scandals. Now, they were gathered together to celebrate the Queen of Yanjing. Thank you everyone. Song Shuangyan was wearing white gloves. She raised a wine glass filled with scarlet red wine and took a sip. She smiled gracefully. But no one dared to argue with her. Song Shuangyan was the first daughter of the Song family. She was highly valued by the head of the Song family, Song Beishan. She was his right-hand man and was almost certain to be the future successor of the Song family. Moreover, she was engaged to the first young master of the Lu family, Lu Lishuan. She was definitely going to be the mistress of the Lu family. Such a peerless beauty who controlled 2 families. Her status and influence were far beyond the sons of ordinary rich families. Even some of her uncles were suppressed. Who dared to offend her? Shuangyan, are you satisfied with the banquet this time? Next to her, a girl in a Prada business suit walked over and asked with a smile. Seeing this, the people around her made way for her. Because she was another one of the 4 beauties of Yanjing. She was the first daughter of the Li family. She was the chairman of the glamorous international, Li Yanmei. She was also the organizer of the banquet. Not bad. Song Shuangyan nodded. Then, she looked at Lu Liwei behind her and said, come, let's talk in the tea room for a while. Then, she looked at her brother Song Poju and said lightly, Poju, help me entertain the guests first. Don't worry, go do your thing. Song Poju was 25 years old. He was wearing a buttoned long coat and old cloth shoes. However, he didn't look old at all. Instead, he looked more dignified and vigorous. His eyes were like lightning before he blinked. If there were any martial artists with sharp eyes here, they would be shocked. This person was actually at the peak of internal force cultivation. Song Shuangyan and the other 2 entered 3 big rooms together. Yanmei, Lu Liwei, I need to see a few important people. Please wait for me. Li Yanmei and Lu Lishuan were left outside while Song Xuanyan walked into a secret room. Greetings, Miss Song. Immediately, a few powerful figures rose to their feet and bowed to Song Xuanyan respectfully. Mr. Shi, how is it? Song Xuanyan sat down. We have found the information you asked us to gather. The father and daughter of the Gu family have 3 photocopies of the incomplete maps of the ruins of deity. However, they are unwilling to tell us where the photocopies came from. The leader of the group looked ordinary, but he was a transcendent state cultivator. However, his aura was dark and gloomy like a venomous snake. Song Xuanyan's face flashed with a hint of displeasure. She said coldly, I know they have 3 photocopies. Mr. Shi hurriedly bowed and said, however, we have found out that Gu Baixian is Zhang Yilan's postgraduate tutor. Who is Zhang Yilan? Song Xuanyan furrowed her brows and asked. The Zhang family was one of the top 20 families in Yanjin. Zhang Yilan and Zhang Yuwei were not important enough for Song Xuanyan to know about them. What a coincidence. This Zhang Yilan is Jiang Tian's cousin. Mr. Shi said with a strange look on his face. So, Jiang Tian might have met Gu Baixian through Zhang Yilan. Song Xuanyan was taken aback. She was so excited that her hands trembled. Interesting. Looks like the Jiang family has more than one incomplete map of the ruins of deity. However, Miss Song, I suggest you stop your investigation and don't get on Jiang Tian's bad side. Mr. Shi furrowed his brows and said, this Mr. Jiang is not an ordinary person. Of course he is. Song Xuanyan sneered. He is the heir of the Medicine King Group. He can mobilize hundreds of billions of funds and his medical skills are impressive. He even defeated a doctor in South Korea last year. That is not what I meant, Miss Song. Mr. Shi shook his head and said. He seems to have another identity. If he is really that guy, then we are in big trouble. What identity? Song Xuanyan looked at Mr. Shi. He might be a martial artist. According to our investigation, he seems to be closely related to Kang Taechu. All the clues point to the same conclusion. Mr. Shi's face hardened as fear crept onto his face. He is the martial arts adjudicator, Kang Taechu. Ha! Mr. Shi, you are too nervous. Song Xuanyan was taken aback at first. Then, she held her stomach and let out a peal of laughter. A peak-level immortal state warrior, number 3 on the dark roll, number 1 on the divine roll of Hua Xia, the leader of the Heavenly Alliance, and the martial arts adjudicator, Kang Taechu. Could he be Jiang Tian? Chapter 549. The smile on Song Xuanyan's face faded, but the coldness and disdain became more obvious. Mr. Shi, you may not know this, but a few years ago, I was engaged to this young master of the Jiang family. I know him too well. This person is an ignorant and incompetent good-for-nothing. He doesn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. He spends his days indulging in wine, women, avarice, and anger. His body has long been shivering. He's even worse than a girl. She couldn't help but laugh. At that time, he wanted to show off his masculinity in front of me. He dragged me to the basketball court to watch him play basketball. He was out of breath after running a few steps. After an hour of playing, he only scored 3 goals. He was so angry that he even fought with someone, but he was beaten to the point where he had to kneel and beg for mercy. You say that this kind of trash is Kang Taechu? What a joke. Miss Song, you may not know, Mr. Shi was anxious. He wanted to say something, but Song Xuanyan interrupted him. Mr. Shi, didn't you say that the mission is difficult and you want to raise the price? Song Xuanyan smiled coldly. I've already given you 100 million. That's a sky-high price. In Yanjing, or even in the entire Hua Xia, you are the first one who dares to bargain with me. At that moment, her face darkened. Her eyes were cold and murderous. She was no longer as gentle as she was in front of the public. She emitted a monstrous pressure that made Mr. Shi, who was at the peak of internal force, feel a little scared. She was the daughter of the Song family, the Yan Jing's female zhuge. Miss Song, you misunderstood me. I wouldn't dare. Mr. Shi quickly bowed. If that's the case, then continue the investigation. You may leave. Song Shuangyan waved her hand. Also, don't tell anyone about my engagement to Jiang Tian. Master Lu will not be happy if he knows about it. Yes. Mr. Shi sighed deeply. He put on his sunglasses and walked out with his subordinates. What happened to Li Wei this time? Did he fall into the hands of the Red Wall internal guards? A moment later, Lu Liwei and Li Yanmei were called into the tea room. Song Shuangyan sipped her tea and asked calmly. Later, I asked around and found out that the boss of the beautiful restaurant is Jiang Tian's friend. Li Yanmei said gloomily, last night, Zhang Zhongguo personally gave the order to investigate the Heavenly Earth, Great Joy, and several other places. Wei San hasn't come out yet. He had lost at least 1 billion yuan in one night. You have shares in this too. Jiang Tian again. Strange. Why would the Zhang family offend the Li family, the Song family, and the Lu family for him? A thought flashed through Song Shuangyan's mind, but she immediately rejected it. The Zhang family is getting bolder and bolder. Don't they know the background of these places? No matter what, Jiang Tian is Zhang Zhongguo's nephew. It's not strange that Zhang Zhongguo would attack you in order to avenge him. The Medicine King group is no longer what it used to be. Sister-in-law, how can he get Yuan Lei to help him? Lu Liwei asked with a frown. He might not be a powerful master if he can get the support of the internal guards. There are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in Sizhou City. Don't worry too much. Song Shuangyan was silent for a moment and said lightly, with your brother backing him, what are you afraid of? At most, you can ask your brother to talk to the leaders. Just follow your father's instructions and don't mess around. When the storm is over, it will be over. Besides, this is the time when Li Xuan is in power. Don't lose the big picture for the small things. Yanmei also suspended the operation. It's just a few 100 million yuan. It's not interesting. Sister-in-law, he slapped me twice last night. I will avenge him no matter what. Lu Liwei touched his bruised and swollen cheek and said fiercely, gnashing his teeth. You think he's your opponent? Is that all you've got? Song Shuangyan teased and then comforted him with a doting tone, don't worry, just bear with it. In less than a month, I'll remove the Jiang family from Huaxia. At that time, you can do whatever you want to him. Destroy a family with a market value of hundreds of billions in a month. It sounded unbelievable, but Li Yanmei and Lu Liwei thought it was natural. The Song family is Yanjing's third-ranked family. As the family's most valued daughter, Song Shuangyan has the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. With one word, she can destroy a business tycoon as easily as waving a horsetail whisk. I still want the shares of Beautiful Heaven. This company is too powerful and has high growth potential. Li Yanmei smiled. At this time, Lu Liwei's phone rang. He answered and said with a smile, Sister-in-law, go cut the cake. Everyone is waiting for you. How boring. Song Shuangyan got up helplessly. She wanted to build the Song family into a martial arts family. She didn't care about the rich and famous people of the secular world. If it wasn't for Li Yanmei's hard work, she wouldn't have cared. However, the Song family rose from the secular world after all, so they couldn't do without the support of these forces. When Song Shuangyan came to the courtyard again, a burst of firecrackers sounded. Fireworks shot up into the sky from the bank of Kunming Lake, like 1,000 trees blooming in the east wind. The ban on fireworks in Yanjing started in 1993. Of course, for these rich and famous families, it wasn't worth mentioning. In the midst of the happy birthday, a 2-meter-tall cake with more than 10 layers was pushed out by a chef in a white top hat. The cake was filled with truffles, chocolates, fruits, and so on. Song Shuangyan cut the cake, proposed a toast, and said, "Enjoy, everyone." Then, she walked into the mysterious and high-end backyard and entered the Songtao Pavilion. There was a secret meeting waiting for her. Alas, Lu Lishuan is here today. She should be discussing how to deal with the Jiang family. But how do you know how powerful Kang Tae-chu is? Seeing this, Mr. Shi stood alone in the corner and couldn't help but sigh. While the business banquet was being held, a red Lamborghini stopped at the entrance of the club. Jiang Tian pushed the door open and got out of the car. He stared at the building that was like a luminous pearl on Kunming Lake. In a flash, his spiritual sense covered the building, and nothing could hide. Jiang Tian quickly sensed Song Shuangyan's presence. In addition, there were Mr. Shi and a few other warriors, as well as 2 sorcerers who had entered the mystic realm. But how could these people enter Jiang Tian's eyes? "Let's go." Jiang Tian's lips curled into a cold smile, and his right arm was slightly opened. "Jiang. Master Kang, can I?" Han Qingli, one of the 4 beauties of Yanjing, was so excited that her face blushed. She boldly held Jiang Tian's arm. With Han Qingli's invitation, Jiang Tian was unimpeded. Under the guidance of a beautiful servant, he walked into the courtyard leisurely. At this moment, Jiang Tian was not in a hurry. His spiritual sense had already locked onto Song Shuangyan. She could not escape even if she wanted to. "Then let's play with them slowly. Today, I will step on the entire Yanjing and wash away the shame of the past." Miss Han is here. TSK, Miss Song's birthday banquet is unprecedented. The 4 beauties of Yanjing are here. Why does she have a date? Usually, she is accompanied by Han Junfeng and Han Junkai when she attends events. As soon as Han Qingli arrived, she immediately attracted the attention of many rich young masters. They all looked sideways at her, and many men almost drooled. The Han family controlled the energy mining industry in Huaxia, and they were worth hundreds of millions. Han Qingli was Han Dao's favorite daughter. Han Qingli was also one of the 4 beauties of Yanjing. Her figure and appearance were first class. At this time, she had put on exquisite makeup and wore a black low-cut evening gown. She wore a dazzling diamond necklace, which made her look even more radiant. She was like a black rose, radiant, elegant, charming, and seductive. Many men were drooling. They all wanted to pluck this proud rose and wantonly desecrate and ravage it. TSK, Qingli, your boyfriend is quite handsome." A beautiful girl in a white evening gown walked over and asked with a smile. She was pure and charming, and could be said to be an enchanting disaster. The 4 beauties of Yanjing each had their own strengths. Song Shuangyan was the most eye-catching of the 4 beauties in terms of background, status, and ability. Li Yanmei's background was slightly inferior, but she was smooth and slick with connections. She relied on Song Shuangyan and controlled the #1 female products brand in Huaxia. Han Qingli was the first daughter of the Han family. She was backed by the Han family that was immersed in monopolizing the industry. She was now the vice president of the Goldning Group and was known as the Goldning Queen. She would control at least 1 or 2 state-owned enterprises in the future, but she was still slightly inferior to Song Shuangyan. And the one in front of them was Xia Lin, who could be on par with Han Qingli. She was the daughter of the 2nd most powerful family in the world, the Xia family. She had a great influence in the domestic financial industry. She was once the person in charge of Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase in Huaxia. 2 barrels of oil, 4 banks, and many other companies in Huaxia listed in the US and Hong Kong. She was known as the financial queen of Yanjing. That's right. It's my new boyfriend. Han Qingli was slightly stunned at first, then she straightened her chest and said proudly. She knew that Jiang Tian didn't like her at all. She wasn't even qualified to be Jiang Tian's servant girl. But at this moment, she still didn't deny it. At least she could satisfy her own fantasy. Hiss. Han Qingli's new boyfriend, who can take the top spot of the Gold Queen. It's over, it's over. Song Poju has no chance this time. His head is greener than the prairie. As soon as these words came out, many of the men present looked at Jiang Tian with envy and jealousy. Fuck, isn't this guy? How can he make Han Qingli like him? Especially Song Poju, who stood up and looked at Jiang Tian with a flash of anger. It's really a new boyfriend. He doesn't look familiar. Introduce him to me. Which ministry leader's son is he from, or which family's son is he from? Xia Lin asked curiously. My name is Jiang Tian, the young master of the Medicine King group. Jiang Tian smiled and took a glass of champagne from the waiter's tray and took a sip. The young master of the Medicine King group, not bad. Congratulations young master Jiang, congratulations Qingli. When the time comes for the wedding, you must invite me. Xia Lin raised her glass and praised, but there was a flash of mockery and disdain in the depths of her eyes. In the eyes of most people, the Jiang family of the Medicine King group was definitely a wealthy family. But in Xia Lin's eyes, it was nothing. Her friends were all rich tycoons like Morgan, Rockefeller, Mitsui, and the like. Their assets were as high as hundreds of billions of dollars. It seemed that Han Qingli's failure to get engaged with Lu Lixuan was a huge blow to her. Her mind was in a mess, and she couldn't be picky. Chapter 550. Of course. Han Qingli's smile was as beautiful as a blooming flower. She was too engrossed in her role, so beautiful that her little head was dizzy and dazed. If she could marry Jiang Tian, that would be great. Jiang Tian, no wonder you are so arrogant. No wonder you could get Zhang Zhonggua to investigate me and get Yuan Lei to help you. You are on Han Qingli's side. Suddenly, a voice filled with disdain was heard. The crowd parted like a tide. Lu Liwei, who was wearing a decent suit made by an old Italian tailor, walked over with a majestic gait. He looked at Jiang Tian arrogantly and sneered, you have always liked to climb up the social ladder since you were young. The Song family broke off the engagement and now you are on Han Qingli's side. Looks like you are a gigolo. I heard that the Zhang family had investigated a few of young Master Lu's places last night. So, it was this guy who did it in the dark. Someone suddenly came to a realization and let out a cry of surprise. He is courting death. Does he think he can defeat the Lu family by relying on the Han family? He is way out of his league. He is just a bumpkin from another city. How dare he provoke the top young master of Yanjin? He doesn't know how deep the water is in Yanjin. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian with disdain, wondering how he would react. Even if Jiang Tian was Han Dao's son-in-law, he would not be able to defeat the young master of the Lu family. Even Han Junfeng was not as powerful as him. In their opinion, Jiang Tian asking the Zhang family to investigate Lu Liwei's places was tantamount to digging his own grave. What bullshit young master Lu. He is just a bumpkin that I can kill with one slap. Jiang Tian sipped his champagne and sneered without even lifting his eyelids. I asked you to pass a message to Song Shuangyan. Have you delivered it? She owes me something and it is time for her to return it to me. Hearing this, everyone's face darkened. Lu Liwei was so angry that his body trembled. His eyes were as sharp as a knife. The Lu family was the most powerful political and business family in Yanjin. When had Lu Liwei ever been humiliated in public? Li Yanmei stepped forward in her high heels and snapped, Han Qingli, is this how your boyfriend treats young Master Lu? Unexpectedly, Han Qingli looked at Jiang Tian's side profile with an intoxicated look and said, I'll listen to my husband. Whatever he says is what it is. Isn't that the trash from the Jiang clan? Back then, when he saw me, he was so humble, as if he was a slave. Li Yanmei scolded him in her heart. She crossed her arms and took a step forward. She raised her eyebrows and said coldly, What? Do you think you're so great just because you're a member of the Han family? Do you think you're all grown up now? Little bastard, do you know that I have shares in Heavenly Earth? You let Zhang Zhonggua ruin my business, I will not rest until you are dead. Who is she? Jiang Tian looked at her in surprise. Hubby, her name is Li Yanmei. She's the legitimate daughter of the Li family in Beijing and also the chairman of Qingqing International. Han Qingli introduced in a coquettish voice. Oh, it's Miss Li. Miss Li, are you sick? Jiang Tian suddenly said with a dignified face. How dare you scold me, Li Yanmei was furious. No, no, no. You have a serious gynecological disease, cervical erosion or something, and some of it is very contagious. Jiang Tian said with a serious face, don't hide the disease for fear of treatment. If you need, I can give you some elixirs to guarantee that the disease will be cured. No way. I just slept with this woman. No wonder I felt a little itchy. In an instant, at least a dozen men at the scene were startled, revealing a few traces of fear. Li Yanmei's private life is extremely debauched. I heard that several huaxia and several top male models and stars have been kept by her. What young Master Jiang said is very likely, although the Jiang clan is not a top family, they are still good in medicine. This guy has defeated a choreo doctor before. There were also some men whispering and discussing with complicated expressions. You're slandering me. Sensing the slightly mocking eyes of the crowd, Li Yanmei's pretty face was red with shame. She pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted angrily. If you don't believe me, you can press 3 inches below your navel. You'll feel a lot of pain in your lower abdomen. Jiang Tian said indifferently. If I'm not sick, don't blame me for being rude to you. Li Yanmei put her finger on her lower abdomen and pretended to press, but she did not have any strength at all. Suddenly, an uncontrollable urge to pee surged up. Her thigh became hot and she peed uncontrollably. Look, look! She actually peed. The group of rich young masters and socialites exclaimed one after another. She thinks she's so great just because she has Song Shuangyan. She's always showing off. This time, when this is posted on Weibo, she'll be embarrassed to death. There were even ladies who were not on good terms with Li Yanmei who secretly took out their mobile phones to take pictures. It seems that Yanmei is seriously ill. Not only do you have gynecological disease, but you also have a problem with losing control of your urine. Han Qingli kindly reminded. Bastard! Bastard! Li Yanmei was so angry that her whole body trembled. However, she could not control her urge to pee. Half a minute later, there was still liquid flowing down. There were obvious water stains on the ground. What made her feel ashamed and angry was that there was no sign of it stopping. Jiang, I won't let you off. Seeing that there were more and more onlookers, Li Yanmei fiercely glared at Jiang Tian. Then, she turned around with hatred and ran away. However, the wet area between her legs was mixed with a fishy smell. It made her want to die. Moreover, every step she took left a footprint on the cement floor. She could only rush into a dressing room to wash up and change her clothes. This kid seems a little strange. Song Poju's face froze. He took out his mobile phone and called Song Shuangyan. Songtao Pavilion was located on a mountain peak. It was brightly lit, as bright as day, and there was a hubbub of voices. Few people came to the Song family's manor. It was estimated that it had not been as lively as it was today for decades. Boss Li, you're here too. Hee, who dares not to come to Miss Song's birthday party? Otherwise, if old Master Beishan gets angry, won't we be beaten? Ha, Boss Zhang, you must be joking. However, the Song family has not held this kind of banquet for decades. The last time was when the 4th generation of the Song family was born. Many guests whispered to each other as they handed in their invitations and took their seats. The Song family of Yanjing was the 3rd largest political and business family. Their ancestor once had a great leader sitting within the Red Wall. Now that the Song family and the number 1 family, the Lu family, were connected by marriage, their power was even greater. Compared to the guests at the banquet in the front yard, the guests here were obviously more mature. Almost all of them were the top tycoons in Huaxia. 70 to 80% of the rich people in Yanjing and Zhonghai were here. I wonder why the Song family is holding this banquet this time. It shouldn't be as simple as Miss Song's birthday party, right? Someone asked. It seems that young Master Lu Lishuan wants to say something to us. Someone frowned and said with a serious face. When the name Lu Lishuan came out, everyone's pupils contracted and a hint of fear appeared in their eyes. Lu Lishuan was the most outstanding young man in Yanjing. Rumor had it that he had registered an overseas fund and controlled dozens of giant companies. He was the biggest invisible tycoon in Huaxia. Only the tip of the iceberg was revealed, but it was already terrifying enough. It was far more powerful than many tycoons present. If they really showed their true colors, even though they were still not as powerful as Morgan Rockefeller and Morgan in the United States, they would be on par with the super tycoons such as Mitsui and Mitsubishi in Japan, the Xingyue family in South Korea and the Guo family in Singapore. Look! The family leaders of the Song family, Lu family, Nya family and Feng family are here. Today's banquet is full of dignitaries and dignitaries. Everyone was startled and looked at the door. Surrounded by many family heads, a young man walked over with a majestic gait. He had short hair that was neatly combed, sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His skin shone with a strange luster, and he had a natural aura of nobility. Surrounded by so many important figures like stars surrounding the moon, when this young man appeared, the entire younger generation seemed to be overshadowed by this person's brilliance. His aura is very similar to Jiang Tian's. Is the Prince of Yanjing also a cultivator? Among the crowd, a girl in a red evening gown with a snow-white beautiful back was slightly surprised and asked. This girl was Yuan Ning, whom Jiang Tian had met twice in South Korea and Japan. In a short time, the giant egg network she had invested in had become the top e-commerce company in Huaxia. She had also taken control of Japan's SoftBank Group and became the new queen of finance in Huaxia. She was also very close to Song Shuangyan, so she was invited to this banquet. No, he is still a bit immature compared to Jiang Tian. Just by standing there, Jiang Tian is like a primordial godly king propping up the heavens and earth. As for him, in the end, he still needs to be set off by others and his family background. He is still a little lacking. Chen Jiafu, who was wearing a decent suit, shook his head and said softly. After meeting Jiang Tian, he had realized how big the world was. He had become more mature, and he had the demeanor of a tycoon in the e-commerce industry. I am Yi Haochen. I am also young Master Lu's representative in the secular world. At this moment, Yi Haochen, who was next to Lu Lishuan, smiled. My friends in Yanjing should know young Master Lu, but my friends in Zhonghai might not. Let me introduce, this is the Prince of Yanjing, young Master Lu. The famous young lord of the Yi family was willing to serve Lu Lishuan at his beck and call. Seeing this, many tycoons, celebrities and family lords in Huaxia were startled and bowed to young Master Lu. I heard that Yi Haochen has been transferring his business to Yanjing over the past year. He's been spending money like water, and his connections are everywhere. He's doing well. See? Behind Yi Haochen are a few tycoons in Zhonghai. Looks like young Master Lu has taken control of Zhonghai. No, not only that. He has control of the entire Yangtze River Delta. Someone suddenly saw an old man in an azure robe on the other side of young Master Lu. His hair and beard were white, but his aura was as steady as a mountain and his eyes were as sharp as swords. This is the Grand Master of Martial Arts, Yi Wudao. Yi Wudao had been in seclusion for 50 years and only came out half a month ago. He is now young Master Lu's right-hand man. Yi Haochen's expression was slightly stern. He cupped his hands slightly and introduced the green-robed elder to everyone. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell into dead silence. Chapter 551. I am an old man, Yi Wudao. Please take good care of me. Clasping hands respectfully, Leaf Dao Denier took a step forward, looking like an ancient god spirit. Psychic pressure rolled out, causing the hearts of everyone present to pound as if they were in the presence of a god. Yi Wudao is a veteran grandmaster. He is as famous as Hu Qingtian. Someone said in a trembling voice. Legend had it that Yi Wudao used to be the young lord of the Qing gang. He had been a grandmaster since the time of the Republic of China. Back in Zhonghai, he was able to drink with Huang Jinrong and Du Yuesheng. After the founding of the nation, Leaf Dao Denier went into seclusion. However, he continued to rule the Yangtze River Delta region for decades. His words carried enormous weight, and many powerful experts acknowledged allegiance to him. Yi Haochen cracked a smile and said, "You are wrong. Mr. Yi was able to defeat Wang Chongyan of the Blue Cloth Society during the time of the Republic of China. He is as powerful as Miyamoto Genichi, the leader of the Hong sect, and Wang Chongyan of the Blue Cloth Society. Hu Qingtian is just Mr. Ye's junior. Moreover, Mr. Yi has been in seclusion for many years and has been cultivating diligently. Now that he has broken out of seclusion, he has stepped into the true deity realm. How can Hu Qingtian compare to him?" At this moment, Yi Haochen no longer had the desolate and panicked appearance he had when he was trampled by Jiang Tian in Singapore. Instead, he regarded himself as Lu Lishuan's spokesperson, high and mighty, beaming with joy and complacency. "What? Mr. Yi is an immortal state warrior?" Everyone was shocked to hear this, and didn't dare to believe their ears. As they looked at Leaf Dao Denier, fear grew in their eyes. Immortal state phenomenal success. That meant he was only one step away from Kang Te-Chu, the adjudicator. This kind of person who had the power to destroy heaven and earth was actually willing to be Lu Lishuan's right-hand man and serve him? Understood. Understood. Chen Jiafu clenched his fists and whispered into Yuan Ning's ear. Mr. Jiang rose to power in Lingnan province. He was like a sharp knife in the Yangtze River Delta. Yi Haochen and the other families in Zhonghai couldn't even raise their heads. Therefore, they have to suck up to the Song family. That's right. I received news that Jiang has already become an adjudicator. Yuan Ning's beautiful face turned pale. She frowned and said in a low voice, "I'm afraid that's not what the Song clan and Lu clan want to see." So he immediately joined forces with Jiangzhe's Leaf Dao Denier. At this moment, Lu Lishuan finally spoke. "Everyone, Huaxia's enterprises are still weak and small. They are not concentrated enough and there is a lot of disorderly competition." Lu Lishuan looked down at the crowd of heroes and calmly said, "What we need to be even more vigilant about is that imperialism has not disappeared. Instead, it is a powerful camp made up of politicians, monopolies, and investment banks that uses values and culture as a disguise and financial currency as a weapon. They have replaced traditional wars and are attacking cities all over the world to plunder wealth. The international capital used the Plaza Accord to attack Japan in 1989, created the Asian financial crisis in 1997, defeated Thailand, suffered heavy losses in Hong Kong, and defeated Vietnam in 2008. Their industrial capital and financial capital are like vultures hovering over the world, nibbling away at enterprises and even countries. And Huaxia is undoubtedly their biggest and final enemy. Defeating Huaxia will be the biggest jewel on the crown of these bloodthirsty warriors. They will win this war with incomparable patience and the most exquisite skills. This war has already begun. Look at how many Huaxia enterprises have been bought over in recent years and their brands have been destroyed. It's shocking. These words were just a cliché and no one took it seriously. However, Lu Lishuan's next words made everyone jump in shock, and their hearts were in turmoil. Everyone, the rise and fall of a country is the responsibility of everyone. In the face of this situation, as the descendants of Yan Huang, we have to take action. I've gathered everyone here to consolidate the power of the chambers of commerce in Huaxia and strengthen our unity. Lu Lishuan's clear voice spread throughout the entire hall and shocked everyone. My Revitalization Foundation will spend 1 trillion yuan to symbolically buy some shares of your companies and form a unified national business alliance, the Renaissance Business Alliance. Lu Lishuan didn't decline his responsibility. He acted freely and confidently. And once the Renaissance Alliance is formed, whether it's a war with America's Rockefeller, Morgan, and DuPont, or against the 4 conglomerates in Japan, the Russian oil oligarchs, etc., we will have the power to negotiate and fight, so that our Huaxia enterprises will have a place in the world. What? As soon as these words came out, the entire hall was in an uproar. There were chambers of commerce in all parts of Huaxia, but they were only mutual aid organizations. There was no equity dispute between the enterprises and the chambers of commerce, and they still maintained independent operations. But Lu Lishuan actually wanted to establish the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance and control hundreds of top enterprises. This rhythm. He was going to be the godfather of Huaxia enterprises and the leader of the martial arts world. Buy shares? How much? Will the price be fair? Moreover, my company has plenty of funds and I don't need external investors. Do I have the right to refuse? Below the stage, Chen Jiafu mustered up his courage and asked. In addition, the Renaissance Alliance will also provide political and personal protection and support to everyone. As if he didn't hear Chen Jiafu's question, Lu Lishuan didn't even look at him. He said in a deep voice, for a long time, the development of property protection has been lagging behind. Once you become a member of the Renaissance Alliance, I can assure you that at least you will be safe in Huaxia. What young Master Lu said makes sense. I will be the first to support it. A voice sounded, and a middle-aged man with a smile on his face and an extraordinary bearing walked in through the door. The richest man in Huaxia, the real estate mogul, Su Tianyun. Didn't something happen to his family? They're being investigated. Why did he come back to Yanjin? Seeing this, Chen Jiafu, Yuan Ning and the other tycoons and family leaders were shocked and couldn't believe it. Before this, the Su family was set up by evil people and was in danger. But with young Master Lu's help, the Su family's assets were saved. Su Tianyun announced to everyone. He then bowed to Lu Lishuan and said in the most respectful tone he had ever used in his life. Now that young Master Lu has established the China Renaissance Alliance to attract international capital and invest in the business environment, it will greatly boost China's economy. Its far-reaching impact is no less than the Shaogang village and the reform. I, Su Tianyun, will be the first to support it. This person was spouting nonsense, as if he wanted to praise Lu Lishuan to the heavens. Everyone's face was solemn and they all had their own thoughts. Kang Taechu is too ruthless. I offended him and that's why I was attacked by the Qin family. Thanks to young Master Lu and Miss Song, I was able to save my assets. Su Tianyun said gratefully. So, the Su family offended Kang Taechu. Someone exclaimed. That's right. Kang Taechu crippled my son. How ruthless. Su Tianyun gritted his teeth and complained tearfully. His words were full of flowery lotus flowers and heavenly flowers. In his words, Jiang Taichu was a temperamental, ambitious, cruel, merciless, inhumane, murderous, and heinous tyrant. That's too scary. If Kang Taichu controls Yanjin, won't we be living in fire and water? The more the crowd listened, the more frightened they became. They felt that Kang Taechu wasn't easy to get along with and they also felt that it was necessary to rely on the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance. The richest man in Huaxia, Su Tianyun, the Yi Qida family, Shi family, Shang family, Yi Wudao, Kai Zhijing, Lu family, Song family, Lu family, and Liao family of Yanjin. Among the top 10 families, only the Han family isn't here. With this lineup, I'm afraid they can really establish the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance. Someone exclaimed. Xiao Hu, with young Lord Lu's guidance, I'm afraid, it will work. In the crowd, an old man in a tang suit with an extraordinary temperament sipped his tea and said in a deep voice, Don't worry. Have you forgotten where we are? This is the Lu family's residence and the Lu family has an old monster in charge. Despite his words, there was a glint of worry in his eyes. Old man Zhou, are you talking about? Heavenly Master Zhang. The man called Xiao Hu was getting more and more frightened as if he had seen a demon. Old man Zhou was also an influential figure in Yanjin. The Zhou family was one of the top 20 families in Yanjin, and they had developed around him. However, if even he felt that he couldn't stop the formation of the alliance, it was obvious that the formation of the alliance was unstoppable. Seeing that more and more people were surrendering to the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance, Yi Haochen clapped his hands and laughed. The Crown Prince is indeed powerful. With Su Kaiyin's help, Yanjin will be conquered in no time. Lu Lishuan sat there with a smile and didn't say anything. HM. The power of the Song family and the Lu family isn't something you can imagine. On the side, Song Shuangyan proudly smiled. Then, a trace of coldness flashed through her eyes as she said, however, we have to thank Kang Taechu for suppressing Yanjin this time. He killed people several times and made people panic. That's why we feel that it's necessary to rely on the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance. The Bai family and the 6 families are the remaining forces of the Republic of China. When did it become their turn to guard Yanjin? Lu Lishuan snorted and said. The Lu family and the Song family are the real heroes. This time, Kang Taechu and the Bai family have lost a lot of energy. This is the time for us to rise. After the formation of the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance, we will have firm control over the political and business world and will be able to suppress Kang Taechu and the 6 families. Next, we will gather our forces and make friends with the hidden sections. We will kill Kang Taechu and the 6 families. But Kang Taechu is an immortal state warrior, Yi Haochen said with a hint of fear. Su Tianyun and the others also froze after hearing what Lu Lishuan said. Kang Taechu was like a sword of Damocles hanging over their heads. They were worried that he would fall at any time, which made them unable to eat or sleep in peace. His intentions were obvious. Lu Lishuan established the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance to make use of his strengths and avoid his weaknesses. He used his strength in the mortal world to fight against adjudicator Jiang Taichu. However, if he joined the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance, he would probably incur the wrath of Jiang Taichu, which would make things difficult for him. Song Shuangyan, who was standing next to Lu Lishuan, smirked and said, Mr. Zhang Qianlei has been in charge of the Song family for many years. This time, he will also come out to protect you. Mr. Zhang is already at the peak of his Dao body. Even Kang Taechu has to give him some face. Otherwise, how could Su Tianyun return to Yanjin? Chapter 552. That's right. Lu Lishuan said with disdain. Kang Taechu killed Hao Hongmei, which offended the Mount Shu sword sect. Hao Hongmei is the sister of the Mount Shu sword sect. How long do you think Kang Taechu will last? In fact, this was the main reason why Lu Lishuan dared to establish the Renaissance Alliance under Jiang Tian's command. He thought that Jiang Tian had to deal with the revenge of the Mount Shu sword sect and had too many enemies to care about the mortal world. This was the perfect opportunity for Lu Lishuan. Of course, of course. Su Tianyun, Yi Haochen, and other family lords nodded. Jiang Taichu was at the God Realm peak stage, so it was not good to offend him. But so was Zhang Qianlei. Moreover, he was more senior and stronger. The Lu family and the Song family were more powerful than Kang Taechu in the mortal world. Besides, Lu Lishuan and Song Shuangyan might have the support of the Mount Shu sword sect and many other hidden sections. Under such circumstances, who would still cling to the thigh of that arrogant, temperamental, and short-lived brat? Seeing that one tycoon after another had pledged their loyalty to Lu Lishuan, Yuan Ning felt bitter. Jiafu, these tycoons are too naive. Yuan Ning shook his head and said, Jiang. If Mr. Jiang is a god, then Lu Lishuan and Song Shuangyan are the demons who run amok in the mortal world. I understand. Chen Jiafu's forehead was covered with cold sweat. If the Renaissance Alliance is established, the new families and tycoons will be at their mercy. We won't be able to fight back. Not only them, but the tycoons and family lords such as Lord Zhou and Xiao, who also frowned. The Song family and the Lu family already had the power of heaven and earth. With the help of Yi Wudao and Yi Haochen and the new families and tycoons led by Su Tianyun, no one had the power to turn the tables. Sure enough, after that, the Xia family, Go family, Long family, and several other top family heads arrived one after another. But in the face of Lu Lishuan, who had the power of heaven and earth, the major families in Yanjin either expressed their willingness to join the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance on the spot or congratulated Lu Lishuan. They didn't dare to go against Lu Lishuan and Zhang Qianlei. Alas, the general trend is already set. Who can turn the tide? Qin Jiafu sighed dejectedly. That's right. The Lu clan and the Song clan's plans are too far-reaching. Yuan Ning sighed and shook his head. Suddenly, she glanced at the front yard and saw Li Yanmei beating her chest and stamping her feet as she ran away. When she saw the man's appearance clearly, she couldn't help but tremble violently, her eyes filled with ecstasy. He actually came. Heavens! He's actually here. Chen Jiafu turned to look at the front yard as a hint of surprise appeared on the corner of his mouth. I didn't expect him to react so quickly. Beside him, Elder Zhou asked worriedly, Brother Fu, how can you still laugh? Who's here? A big shot, an earth-shattering big shot. Qin Jiafu pointed at the front yard and said with a smile, this is the person you've been longing to see. You mean? He is here. Elder Zhou's face was suddenly shocked. His eyes were bursting with fanaticism as he looked at the back of the figure in the front yard. In Huaxia, among the younger generation, he was the only one who was qualified to wrestle with Lu Lishuan and the only one who could suppress the Renaissance Alliance of Huaxia. The adjudicator of martial arts. Kang Te-chu. In the front yard. After Li Yanmei left, a young master who looked very prudent and smart walked over quickly and said coldly, Young Master Jiang, you said that Song Shuangyan owes you something. What is it? Liao Yunchuan. As soon as this person appeared, some of the young masters and ladies present looked at him with favor as if they were looking at their idol. The Liao clan was not a first-tier clan in Yanjing and should be outside the top 10. However, Liao Yunchuan's father was a member of the government council and could completely suppress Zhang Zhonggua. Liao Yunchuan's words carried a lot of weight in Sizhou City. A phone call could mobilize a large number of military and police forces. An incomplete map and 50 million. Jiang Tian said lightly. 7 years ago, I was engaged to Song Shuangyan and gave these to her as a betrothal gift. But later, the Song clan broke off the engagement and didn't return these to me. It's not appropriate no matter whether it's emotional or legal. 50 million. I don't want it, but the incomplete map must be returned to me. What a joke, a big joke. Liao Yunchuan said sarcastically. The Song clan has hundreds of billions of assets. Why would they care about 50 million and a broken antique painting? Why would they want to take it from you? Besides, words alone are no proof. Is there anyone who notarizes these? Is there a bank statement? Is there a receipt? Liao Yunchuan's words were like a sword and he kept asking questions. Seeing that Jiang Tian was unable to answer, a mocking smile appeared on his face as he said, You don't have anything, yet you came here to ask for money without any proof. Then, can I say that you owe me 100 billion and give me all of your family's shares? As soon as he said that, the entire hall burst into laughter. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at an idiot. You're just a country bumpkin. How dare you cause trouble in Beijing? You don't know your place. Look at his stupid face. Even young Master Liao is a fool. Liao Yunchuan works for the Supreme People's Procuratorate and he has always been a prosecutor. What a sharp tongue. Someone shook his head and praised. Humph. You think you can survive in Yanjin? You won't be able to survive more than 3 episodes. Even Lu Liwei smirked. Liao Yunchuan took a sip of champagne and said coldly, Miss Han, Mr. Jiang, you have seriously disrupted the order of the banquet. You are not welcome here. Please leave. Han Qingli was furious and said coldly, I have Song Shuangyan's invitation. Who do you think you are to kick us out? Lu Lishuan is in a meeting. Do you want to offend him? Do you have a death wish? Liao Yunchuan looked at Han Qingli and scolded coldly. even young Master Lu is here. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe what they heard. The Lu family was the top political and business family in Yanjin. Meanwhile, Lu Lishuan was the leader of the younger generation in Yanjin and was above the rest. Han Junfeng, Zhang Danfeng, Su Shiji, and the other heirs of Yanjin were all suppressed by Lu Lishuan. He was the real deal in Beijing. This young man, who was called the Dragon of the Lu family, had always been elusive and rarely appeared in the circle of the younger generation. When Bai Dichen was still around, he could even talk to him as an equal. The circle he was involved in was too high-end. It was a gathering of China's top politicians, entrepreneurs, rich people, and even the top foreign financial groups. It was also said that there were some experts who could summon the wind and rain and fly into the sky and earth. Many people in the circle had never even seen Lu Lishuan before. Lu Lishuan, Liao Yunchuan, Song Shuangyan, Li Yanmei, these four people and the forces behind them have the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. Even a feudal official would be torn to pieces by them in a matter of seconds. Thinking of this, Xia Lin heaved a sigh and didn't say anything. Because of their similar background, the four beauties of Yanjin had always been competing with each other. When they were young, they competed with their abilities, and when they grew up, they competed with their career, wealth, power, and marriage. Xia Lin, who was still single, didn't want Han Qingli to marry better than her. Liao Yunchuan sipped his champagne and sneered. Jiang Tian, you don't even deserve to be compared with young Master Lu. Let's go. What are you going to do? Are you going to run away or fight with Liao Yunchuan? That's Liao Yunchuan. Even if you're the son-in-law of the Han family, you won't be able to leave Yanjin if you beat him up. Besides, he's speaking on behalf of Lu Lishuan. Many people looked at Jiang Tian as if they were watching a good show. They didn't know how Jiang Tian would react. Young Master Lu. Lu Lishuan. He's nothing. I'm here to settle the score with Song Shuangyan. Jiang Tian sneered. If Song Shuangyan obediently pays her debt, then this young master wouldn't be willing to stay here. How dare you ignore the young master of the Lu family? As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed drastically. Lu Liwei was even more furious. He waved his hand and said coldly, "Get this kid out of here. If he resists, kill him. He trespassed on private property. He's in the wrong." Instantly, 7 or 8 burly men moved together, surrounding Jiang Tian in a fan-shaped formation. They all pulled out their pistols, as if Jiang Tian dared to act rashly, they would kill him on the spot. Fine. Jiang Tian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He sneered. Lu Liwei, I've wanted to teach you a lesson for a long time. I didn't expect you to be so arrogant even when you're about to die. Calm down, young Master Lu. Liao Yunchuan probably didn't want his father and Zhang Zhongguo to be difficult to get along. After all, they were all members of the team. He reached out to stop him and said, "Young Master Jiang, don't make things difficult for your brother. As long as you leave now, this matter will end here." His words and actions were extraordinary. He was indeed one of the top young masters in Yanjin. End here. Sure, let him apologize to Li Yanmei and me and pay for all our losses. Then, I'll let him go. Lu Liwei had always been the kind of person who would get more aggressive the more you stopped him. He sneered. You little bastard, you really don't know what's good for you. Kneel down and I'll spare your life. Jiang Tian shook his head in disappointment. He had already let him go last night. He didn't expect him to still be so arrogant. Fine, let's kill. The Taichu Divine Emperor had never been a merciful person. What did you say? Kneel down and apologize to me. Otherwise, I'll kill you immediately. Lu Liwei grabbed a gun from one of his men and pointed it at Jiang Tian's head. He shouted anxiously. Ha, this kid is being pointed at by a gun. Brother Wei is fierce. Shoot him. Kill him. Li Yanmei had changed into new clothes and came out. She immediately shouted excitedly when she saw this scene. Have you finally drawn your gun? I've been waiting for you for a long time. Go to hell. Jiang Tian sneered and flicked his finger. A golden finger aura shot out. Boom. 100 meters away, Lu Liwei's head exploded like a watermelon shot by a Barrett sniper rifle. Chapter 553. Red and white things, as well as skulls, splattered all over the faces and bodies of the people around them. Li Yanmei felt her face heat up as she touched a piece of skin with eyeballs hanging from it. Oh my god. She was so scared that she sat on the ground and screamed. Her whole body trembled like a sieve as she peed and defecated. Liao Yunchuan was also dumbfounded. He was dumbfounded as if he had seen an evil ghost. He froze on the spot as if an immortal had cast a spell on him. Murder. After a brief moment of deathly silence, a series of earth-shattering screams rang out. Everyone fled for their lives. These young masters and socialites had never seen such cruel and violent means. They killed people on the spot just because of a disagreement. This was an important area in the capital and the best city. The social security had always been good. They had always thought highly of themselves and were used to disregarding human lives, but they had forgotten about it. Not to mention Jiang Tian, who was a reborn god emperor. Even if he was an ordinary person, he still had the right to defend himself and fight back when someone pointed a gun at him. What? A martial artist? Song Poju was shocked at first, then he took a step forward and went against the flow of people. He pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted angrily, "This guy is extremely dangerous. Don't show mercy. Shoot and kill him." Click. Click. The scene was filled with the sound of bullets being loaded. The bodyguards of the Song family were no joke. They would definitely shoot. It seemed that Jiang Tian would be shot into a sieve in the next moment. You're too slow. However, Jiang Tian was faster. He shook his head in disdain and waved his sleeve as if he was driving away flies. Boom. Boom. A surging golden wave swept out and pushed in all directions like a raging wave hitting the shore. Boom. 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 Many gunmen were thrown out like leaves in the wind. Some even collapsed and were torn apart in the air, turning into meat paste. Half a minute later, the howling wind finally stopped, and the dust settled. Many young masters and socialites crawled on the ground, holding their heads and trembling. They looked at the scene in front of them with their mouths agape. With just a wave of Jiang Tian's sleeves, everything within 50 meters of him, be it fake mountains, pavilions, or winding corridors, all crumbled in an instant. Half of the courtyard was swept clean by Jiang Tian. Starting from Jiang Tian's feet, the ground seemed to have been blasted by a bomb. Cracks spread out for dozens of meters. It was a complete mess. Jiang Tian, who are you? Do you really want to be enemies with my Song clan? Among the crowd, only Song Poju managed to maintain his composure on the surface, but his slightly trembling hands mercilessly exposed his current shock. You don't have the qualifications to ask me. Make Song Shuangyan kneel and pay back what she owes me, or accept death. Jiang Tian didn't pay any attention to them. He just slapped them lightly on the head and shouted softly, "Kneel." Rumble. The sound of grinding and rolling stones rang out above the heads of the young masters and socialites. Everyone felt as if Mount Tai was pressing down on them. They couldn't help but bend their waists, bend their knees, and kneel down in submission. I don't, Song Poju roared furiously. Internal force surged around his body and his muscles twisted like dragons, almost breaking out of his body. However, how could he withstand the overwhelming power of Jiang Tian's level 6 Qi refinement stage? His entire body was slapped to the ground. He is Jiang Tai, Song Poju suddenly thought of something. His eyes popped out and he stood up on his hands and feet, as if he wanted to run away and report. Unfortunately, he was directly hit by an invisible force because he stood up first. He sank into the ground and didn't move anymore. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Many socialites and young masters who were watching from afar were all dumbfounded and cold sweat broke out all over their bodies. Even Mr. Shi and the other guards of the Song family gasped at the same time. The Lu family and the Song clan wanted to establish the Huaxia business alliance with Zhang Qianlei's power. Today, all the tycoons were gathered and Lu Lishuan already had the power to control Yanjin. However, this young master from Lingnan had killed Lu Liwei in front of everyone and forced the Song family to kneel down. He was going to challenge the prince of the Lu family. It's too violent, too savage. Since when did Jin City have such a fierce person? Oh God! Lu Liwei's father is a powerful official in the province and he killed him just like that. I just said he was a country bumpkin, but it looks like he can really compete with the young master of the Lu family. Many young masters and ladies felt a chill run down their spines as they stared at Jiang Tian in fear as if they were looking at a ghost. He is indeed the arbiter Kang Te-chu. Looking at Jiang Tian who had already sat on the stone bench and sipped a glass of wine, Han Qingli's legs had already turned to jelly. Her heart and eyes had already turned into a pool of spring water. She only felt that it was worth it if she could pretend to be a couple with Jiang Tian tonight. Jiang Taichu put down the wine cup and looked at the Songtao pavilion in the backyard. He used the demonic dragon roar and let out a thunderous roar. Song Shuangyan, return the map or get out of Yanjin. It's your choice. Inside the Songtao pavilion, some families were happy and some were sad. On the one hand, the leaders of the top families such as the Lu family, the Song family, the Liao family and the Lu family in Yanjin, as well as many business groups and rich families in the Yangtze River Delta region led by the Yi family in Zhonghai, were having a heated discussion. The Lu family was the top political and business family in Huaxia and the Song family was ranked third. Once the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance was established, it could be said that the richest Zhonghai and the most authoritative Yanjin were connected, forming a real powerful capital group that was comparable to the top financial groups in the world. Moreover, with the power of worldly power and wealth, they could strike from below and make friends with the reclusive sections. It was possible that they could suppress the adjudicator Jiang Taichu and the 6 martial arts schools of Yanjing. But now, 5 of the top 10 richest people in China were here, and Yi Wudao, the Grand Master of Jiangxia, was there to back him up. Plus, the Song family had that old monster in charge, so there was a good chance that he would succeed. Once the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance is established, and with the support of the Shu Mountain sect and other hidden sects, Jiang Chen will be nothing. Yi Haochen's heart was burning with murderous intent. Ever since he was suppressed by Jiang Tian in Singapore, he had to come to Yanjin to avoid the sharp edge. Thanks to his grandfather, Yi Qida, who had a lot of connections and served as Lu Lishuan's company management consultant, he was able to work for Lu Lishuan and survive. But he had never thought that Lu Lishuan would have the ambition to suppress Kang Te-chu and kill the 6 families. And, it seemed that it would really work. The leaders of the Lu family and the Liao family in Yanjin, as well as many rich people in the Yangtze River Delta region, were all smiling. They supported Lu Lishuan to establish the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance. It was no exaggeration to say that it was a new era. If Lu Lishuan was the crown prince who was about to ascend the throne, they were the founders of the country and would have great benefits in the future. On the other hand, the heads of the Xia, Long, Gu, and other clans who were at odds with the Song and Lu clans, as well as the heads of the rich and powerful clans who relied on them, hung their heads dejectedly as if they had lost their parents. I can't believe that Heavenly Master Zhang is still alive and has reached the peak stage of the Dao body. The leader of the Xia family shook his head and sighed. He smiled bitterly and said, Old Lord Lu has a great-grandson and Song Beishan has a great son-in-law. They're so young and they're so talented. They've already suppressed us. The Xia family was ranked second in Yanjin and had the same influence as the Lu family and the Song family. The marriage between the Song family and the Lu family had already made the Xia family nervous. They also didn't expect that the Lu family had conquered the forces in Jiangxia. Besides, old monster Zhang was about to come out of seclusion. His Dao body was comparable to an immortal state warrior. Who could resist him? After the fall of the Bai family, the 6 major families of Yanjin don't have any immortal state warriors. Besides, Kang Taechu doesn't like to interfere with the mortal world, so no one can stop them. The leader of the Gu family smiled wryly and said, I'm afraid that old monster Zhang is as powerful as Kang Taechu. Although they were afraid of the Bai family's power before, they didn't interfere with each other most of the time. However, after the rise of Kang Taechu, they realized how terrifying an immortal state warrior was. He had defeated 10,000 soldiers alone and killed countless people. He had suppressed a country by himself and made the leader of Japan bow down. Even the superpowers in the world were afraid of him. Besides, the Liu family and the Song family also had such power. Who would dare to challenge them? That would be courting death. Is Kang Taechu unwilling to come out of seclusion? Someone asked. Kang Taechu is an outsider who pursues the path of becoming a deity. The leader of the Xia family heaved a sigh and said, I've been planning the adjudicator ceremony with the 6 major families of Yanjin, but he rejected it. He doesn't want to be friends with us, fuck him. A tycoon felt wronged as if he were a child who had been abandoned by his father. He scolded angrily, Jiang Taichu defeated the Bai family, but he doesn't care about the secular world in Yanjin. He's so irresponsible. We have no one to rely on and we're in a passive position now. Among the top 10 families in Beijing, only Han Batian isn't here. Does he have someone to rely on? Someone said unwillingly. The Han family is useless. Everyone shook their heads. Han Baishan's family was far behind the Song family and the Liu family. Not to mention that the Lin family, which was backed by the martial arts Lin family, was no match for old monster Zhang, who was worshipped by the Song family. In terms of business and political power, the Lin family was far behind. Fine, fine. Everyone, let's surrender. We don't have the power to change the situation. The leader of the Xia family shook his head and his white hair trembled. He seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant and struggled to get up. A wise man submits to circumstances. Lu Lishuan is dominating us with the power of heaven and earth. We have no choice but to submit to him. Seeing this, everyone was filled with despair, but they all got up and walked towards Lu Lishuan. The leader of the Xia family was also a man of his word in Yanjin, but he had already surrendered. Who else could resist Lu Lishuan's power? At least you know what's good for you. Whoever dares to stop the grand plan of the Renaissance Alliance will be killed. Lu Lishuan also saw them coming from afar and a smirk appeared on his face as he whispered coldly. At this moment, a series of loud noises came from the front yard outside the window as if there was an earthquake. The entire Songtao pavilion became silent. Following that, a thunderous roar burst out like a cannonball, carrying with it a monstrous aura. That mighty and domineering voice resounded throughout the arena. Song Shuangyan, return the map or get out of Yanjin. It's your choice. Chapter 554. The sound waves rumbled and a monstrous energy surged forward like a giant wave. Spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the bulletproof glass window that could withstand sniper shots. Then, it exploded with a loud bang. What? Everyone was shocked. Many of the magnates were shocked. Lu Lishuan was going to rule Yanjin and take over the entire Huaxia. Who would dare to ask his fiancée, Song Shuangyan, to get out of Yanjin and provoke him? Oh no! Someone killed someone. Lu Liwei and Song Poju were killed. Mr. Shi was also severely injured. At this time, a guard whose clothes were torn and covered in blood staggered in and cried out in alarm. Someone killed someone in Song Tao Manor. Many of the patriarchs present exclaimed as they looked at each other. Lu Liwei was Lu Lishuan's cousin. Although their bloodline was very distant, he was still a member of the Lu family. Song Poju was Song Shuangyan's brother and he practiced martial arts. He was Song Shuangyan's right-hand man. Both of them were killed. It seemed that this person was going to go against the Lu family and the Song family. Lu Lishuan didn't look sad or happy after hearing that. However, there was a flash of lightning in his eyes. How dare you do this in the Song family's territory? You must be tired of living. A young master behind Lu Lishuan was enraged. He slammed the table and shouted, "Who is it? Do you think the Renaissance Alliance doesn't dare to kill anyone?" That young master was called Meng Xian and he came from the Meng family, which was one of the top 20 families in Yanjin. He had a lot of influence in the security department and was Lu Lishuan's right-hand man, just like Yi Haochen. His anger was like the roar of a demon king, which intimidated everyone. Everyone kept quiet and didn't dare to make a sound. "Uncle De, go and take a look. Bring him to me." Lu Lishuan's expression didn't change. He picked up the teacup and took a sip. He was calm in the face of danger and had a stern demeanor that would not change his expression even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. He was indeed the first prince of Yanjin and the dragon of the Lu family. Many old family masters admired him. "Yes, Your Highness." Behind Lu Lishuan, an honest middle-aged man in a black jacket bowed slightly and agreed. Zhao Dezhu, who was known as Uncle De, was just Lu Lishuan's chauffeur. But the moment he straightened up, his muscles swelled, and his body seemed to have expanded a little. He really was as majestic as a mountain, incomparably heavy. It was just a simple movement of straightening his body, yet a strand of extremely strong imposing aura shot into the sky like a treasured sword being unsheathed, and it was accompanied by a violent killing intent that was like a mountain of corpses and an ocean of blood. Blood surged as it revealed its edge. The Lu family is indeed powerful. Even young Master Lu's driver has reached the transcendent state. Furthermore, he's a physique refinement expert who cultivates both internal and external martial arts. Anywhere, he could be considered a grandmaster who rules over a region. In the field, some of the internal force martial artists saw this scene and their eyes were filled with fear. They screamed in their hearts. "He's looking for me. I'll go take a look too." Song Shuangyan's face was slightly cold. After Lu Lishuan nodded slightly, she also walked out of the Great Pine Pavilion and went straight to the front yard. By then, the birthday party in the front yard had already turned into a mess. Many rich heirs and socialites were either kneeling on the ground or standing afar. None of them dared to make a sound as they stared at Jiang Tian in fear. "Qingli, didn't you say that you haven't had dinner? Why don't you eat something?" However, Jiang Tian acted as if nothing had happened. He sat down leisurely, picked up a cold dish and a glass of champagne, and started to eat and drink. Han Qingli watched the scene unfold in front of her and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Kang Taechu is so arrogant. He is still so calm after killing the Song family and the Lu family. I guess he is the only one in Huaxia who could do that. Even as she thought about it, the wooden door that led to the backyard was suddenly pushed open. A flurry of footsteps sounded as a group of people surrounded by a beautiful woman walked into the yard. The leader of the group was Song Shuangyan. She was wearing exquisite makeup and looked like an empress. "Huh? He killed them. He has changed." Seeing that it was Jiang Tian, Song Shuangyan was taken aback. She had a complicated look in her eyes. She had never thought that the trash that she had bullied like a grass dog and abandoned like a worn-out shoe would actually swagger into the Song family. And he was still so calm after killing the two heirs of the Song family and the Lu family. He didn't seem nervous at all. Song Shuangyan slowly stopped her footsteps. Her figure stood straight like a lofty snow lotus. She was even more beautiful in the frost, still clear in the snow. She stared at Jiang Tian with her clear eyes and said calmly, "I was wondering who it was. I was wondering who it was. So it's Master Jiang from the Medicine King group. Since you are an old friend who came to my birthday party, let's have a drink and eat a piece of cake. Why are you fighting? Did we not treat you well? Give me back the map of the ruins of deity and I won't kill you." Jiang Tian finally looked up slowly. His pupils shrank as he looked at Song Shuangyan. Her calm eyes seemed to be able to see through 10,000 years. They were slightly sharp, but there was no sadness or joy. In his previous life, the woman who had made him look up to her like a country boy seeing a royal princess, and who had brought endless humiliation to the Jiang family, had finally appeared in front of him. But in this lifetime, in Jiang Tian's eyes, she was merely an ant that could be casually crushed, not worth mentioning. You are not here to wash away the humiliation of breaking off the engagement. You know the secret of the ruins of deity? Song Shuangyan was slightly surprised. She looked at Jiang Tian with interest and asked, "Who are you?" He could kill several gunmen with one hand, and Song Poju was a martial arts genius. Did he also become a martial arts master? Was he, like what Mr. Shi said? I feel humiliated because you broke off the engagement. You really think too highly of yourself. Jiang Tian said with a mocking face. Who would want an ugly monster like you? You are the head of the 4 beauties of Yanjin. You are so much worse than my maids. You are willing to break off the engagement and let me go. I am really grateful to your ancestors. I don't know why I was so blind to agree to the engagement with you. I was young back then and my taste was really bad. After hearing what he said, the whole place went silent. Countless people stared at Jiang Tian, dumbfounded, as if they had seen a monster. This young master of the Jiang family was crazy. He ignored Lu Lishuan's pressure and killed people with his bare hands. Then, he said that Song Shuangyan was ugly. Was he trying to offend the 2 families? Honey, you are so talented. Only Han Qingli was laughing. She looked at Jiang Tian with her beautiful eyes. She had always been suppressed by Song Shuangyan, but what Jiang Tian said made her very happy. Song Shuangyan's face changed a bit and then calmed down. Like a queen, she smiled coldly and said, Jiang Tian, you are indeed powerful, but you shouldn't have come here today. You shouldn't have exposed the secret of the map of the ruins of deity. Her eyes were full of murderous intent and she said with a grin, do you know that in order to find the secret of the ruins of deity, the Song family spent tens of billions and searched the entire Huaxia? And now, you've delivered yourself to me. In the next moment, she suddenly waved her hand like an empress commanding an army of thousands of men and horses, and said coldly and mercilessly, she said coldly, Uncle De, break his limbs and force him to tell us where the map of the ruins of deity is. Yes, Miss Song. Zhao Dezhu's eyes were like lightning as he stared fixedly at Jiang Tian. His arms shook, causing his clothes to explode apart with a few rips, revealing a robust body that seemed to be cast from brass. Numerous muscles coiled together like dragons, and they were filled with terrifying explosive force. It seemed that he took a casual step, but it was as if an ancient god had taken a step. Boom! With a bang, the ground trembled, and the bricks beneath his feet cracked inch by inch. Fragments shot out explosively, and a deep pit was formed. His feet were buried in the ground. Uncle De, he is Jiang, Yi Haochen, who had just arrived, pointed at Jiang Tian and wanted to say something. But Zhao Dezhu didn't care about him. Whoosh! Using the counterforce from the ground, Zhao Dezhu rushed towards Jiang Tian like a bolt of lightning. He left a series of blurry shadows in the air. The sound of air friction was sharp and ear-piercing, just like the sound of a train whistle. Every step he took made the ground tremble and collapse. Pieces of bluestone bricks were trampled by him and flew toward Jiang Tian like a giant dragon. Boom! His fist smashed out like a furious dragon emerging from the sea. It carried a murderous aura, and it contained a surging and powerful explosive force. It crushed space as it violently smashed towards Jiang Tian's chest. King Kong subduing Demon Fist, the unique skill of Shaolin. It was fierce and violent, like the angry eyes of a King Kong. It was calm inside and fierce like a bodhisattva. This Zhao Dezhu is too cruel. I want you to leave him alive. I still want the map. Seeing this, Song Shuangyan frowned. She felt that Zhao Dezhu's punch would definitely kill Jiang Tian. She couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Before returning to the secular world, Zhao Dezhu was the head of the 18 arhats of the Shaolin Arhat Hall. He could punch through a steel plate a few centimeters thick. He could crush a small car with one step. With this King Kong exorcism fist, he once defeated one of the 4 spirit generals of the Long Formation, Xian Wu. Get lost. Jiang Tian didn't even look at him. Only when Zhao Dezhu rushed in front of him did he leisurely wave his sleeve. Boom! There was a loud noise. The scene went from extreme stillness to extreme motion. It was motionless like a mountain and moving like a flaming fire. It was as if a level 18 hurricane had suddenly erupted. A surging force swept out violently and wreaked havoc. Before the force hit, the pressure came first. Zhao Dezhu only felt that it was difficult to breathe. He was frightened and anxious. In a hurry, he crossed his arms in front of him. But it was useless. Boom! Zhao Dezhu exploded on the spot as if a dozen cannonballs had hit his body. Blood, minced meat, broken bones, and pieces of internal organs flew in all directions. Not even a whole body was left. What? Everyone present exclaimed in unison. Zhao Dezhu was extremely domineering. As Lu Lishuan's personal bodyguard, he once defeated one of the 4 spirit generals of the Long Formation, Xian Wu. But at this moment, facing Jiang Tian, he was as weak as an ant. He was shaken into meat paste by Jiang Tian's gentle wave of his sleeve. Who the hell are you? For the first time, fear appeared on Song Shuangyan's pretty face. Her beautiful eyes were wide open as if she had never known Jiang Tian. He is Kang Te-Chu. At this time, Yi Haochen, who didn't dare to let Jiang Tian see him, was shivering. He shrank in the distance and whispered this sentence. Unfortunately, it was too late. The whole place was dead silent. Many family heads and rich people who followed Song Shuangyan to watch the show instantly turned into clay statues, motionless. Chapter 555. Everyone looked at the young man sitting at the table and munching on a lobster in shock. Some of the more quick-witted ones suddenly had an idea. This person seemed to be a legendary warrior, and he was so powerful that he even dared to kill Lu Lishuan's people. Could it be him? Elder Zhou, who passed through the door, saw this scene. His body suddenly trembled, and he was ecstatic. He said, Good, 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 I didn't expect him to really come. Now, we are saved. Elder Zhou, who is he? Xiao Hu looked at Jiang Tian from afar. He felt that this person was a little familiar, but he couldn't remember. He can fight against Lu Lishuan, no, he can even trample the Lu and Song families under his feet. Elder Zhou suppressed his laughter, but he said with exultation, he killed 11 gods with one sword on the censer peak. Who do you think he is? Could it be? Xiao Hu's body suddenly trembled as if he had seen a god. His eyes burst with fanaticism. The arbiter, Kang Te-Chu. You don't deserve to know my name. Jiang Tian looked at Song Shuangyan mockingly and said coldly, Now, do you want to hand over the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality? Jiang Tian, what if I don't hand it over? Song Shuangyan was shocked at first, but then she remembered her monstrous background. She proudly stuck out her chest and looked at Jiang Tian like an empress looking down at an ant. I am the dignified daughter of the Song family, Lu Lishuan's fiancée. In the future, I will control the Lu and Song families, and the entire Huaxia will submit to me. If you dare to touch a finger of mine, I will cut you into pieces and let the Jiang family die without a burial place. These words could be said to be murderous, attacking the weak spot. Jiang Tian was only one person strong. In terms of family background, how could the Jiang family, the king of medicine, be a match for the Lu and Song families, whose power shook Huaxia? They had enormous capital, and their wealth was comparable to that of a country. Their power was monstrous, and many of their disciples were officials of the border. It could be said that he could easily destroy the Jiang family with just a few tricks. The more Song Shuangyan thought about it, the more confident she felt. She actually approached Jiang Tian, patted Jiang Tian's cheek, and arrogantly said, So what if you are a transcendent master? So what if your Jiang family has tens of billions of assets? Compared to the Song clan and the Lu clan, you're just an ant that can't even withstand a single blow. If you know what's good for you, hand over the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality. Then, I won't blame you for offending my banquet, and I'll let you live. Jiang Tian grabbed the snow-white wrist and said indifferently, "Don't worry. From the beginning to the end, you've always had a strong sense of superiority. Are the descendants of the Song family that great?" Pa! Suddenly, Jiang Tian fiercely raised his palm and heavily slapped Song Shuangyan's jade-like sparkling face, sending her flying a few meters away. "If I were an ant that couldn't even withstand a single blow, I'd feel really good if I could beat you." There was dead silence. Everyone was aghast. This young Master Jiang actually slapped Song Shuangyan's mouth. This was simply like a fantasy story. Song Shuangyan was sent flying to the ground. Her slender waist was poked by a sharp stone. She couldn't help but scream on the spot. If it wasn't for the fact that she had once cultivated and had a certain level of cultivation, she would have definitely broken her bones and tendons. A bright red handprint appeared on her delicate face. She struggled to her feet and stared at Jiang Tian with resentment in her eyes. You dare to hit me," she said fiercely. Compared to the pain, the humiliation was even more unbearable. She was one of the 4 beauties of Yanjin. She was the daughter of the Song clan, born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Countless men had loved and respected her since she was a child. She had never been humiliated like this before. She had been slapped in front of everyone. "Congratulations. You even know how to answer first." Jiang Tian waved his hand and Song Shuangyan flew towards him uncontrollably. Jiang Tian grabbed her soft neck and slapped her face again and again. "So what if I hit you? Didn't you slap me in the past? Hit me back if you have the guts. Damn you. You're just a woman. Instead of looking at recipes and making soup, you want to learn the art of war. You're ambitious. You fight for power and profit. You're vicious." This wave of slaps was like a storm. She swayed left and right like a willow tree in the wind. Blood spurted out of her delicate nose. Her tears and snot flowed down together. It washed away her eyeshadow and even her fake eyelashes flew away. Delightful. 10,000 years. Jiang Tian wanted to slap Song Shuangyan. Now that he did, he felt so good. A gush of pent-up anger that had been suppressed for 10,000 years was completely released. Jiang Tian felt refreshed. His entire body felt comfortable, and every pore on his body opened up. That feeling was like breaking through a shackle that he had been unable to break through for a long time during his cultivation. It was simply awesome. The first daughter of the Song family and the daughter-in-law of the Lu family. So what? You were still slapped to the ground by me. Slap. Jiang Tian threw her to the ground as if she were a rag. He rubbed his palms in an exaggerated manner, smiled brightly, and said, "Yes, but you're a little different. Your skin is especially thick. Other people are the city wall, but you're the corner of the city wall. Doesn't your face hurt?" Song Shuangyan's dirty face was swollen. Her hair was disheveled and one of her high heels had fallen off. She was like a crazy woman on the street. She was in a mess. She didn't have the elegance and arrogance of the 4 beauties of Yanjing. Beside him, Li Yanmei, Xia Lin, and many other young masters and socialites felt their hearts tremble. They were all dumbfounded and felt as if they were dreaming. Song Shuangyan. The first daughter of the Song family and Lu Lishuan's fiancée. Her status was so noble. She was a supreme beauty with unparalleled power. She was like an empress overlooking Yanjing and intimidating Huaxia. No one could shake her. But now, Jiang Tian was grabbing her neck like an eagle grabbing a chick and slapping her face. Moreover, this brat was too cruel. He actually hit a woman without any mercy. Only Han Qingli felt very happy. Song Shuangyan was always arranging flowers and playing the zither. She also boiled snow and made tea. She acted like she was aloof from worldly affairs. In fact, she was ambitious, cunning, ruthless. Although she was called a talented lady, she was actually the #1 witch in Yanjing. A witch only needed to be tortured by evil people. Today, she finally met a tough one. Jiang Tian, I'm going to cut you into pieces. Facing such an arrogant face-slapping Jiang Tian, Song Shuangyan was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. She was extremely sullen. This could be said to be the humiliation of her life. It was a humiliation that Jiang Tian couldn't wash away. Whoosh! Song Shuangyan suddenly waved her hand and the sword in the hand of a delicate maid flew up automatically. She held the sword in her hand and rushed toward Jiang Tian like a flash of cold lightning. Her pair of phoenix eyes were filled with hatred. Using qi to control objects. Looks like you are at the initial transcendent state. Jiang Tian looked at the fingerprints on her face and laughed happily. Grandmaster, a powerful fighter. Are you looking down on me? Can you be a little bit more arrogant and domineering? Then use your face to hit my palm hard. Go to hell. Song Shuangyan showed her murderous intent while she was running. Her sharp sword flashed with cold light and pierced toward Jiang Tian's chest. She stabbed out with her sword and the sword flashed like a bright star. She could even burst out sword chi and some sword aura. In the martial arts world, she was definitely one of the best among the younger generation. You are indeed a powerful fighter. Every move is fatal. Jiang Tian laughed and flicked his finger. A golden finger aura hit the air. Clang! Song Shuangyan's sword flew out of her hand and broke into countless pieces. Jiang Tian grabbed her wrist and twisted it lightly as if he was breaking a hemp stick. Immediately, the crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard. Ah! Song Shuangyan's clear eyes were wide open and almost popped out. The sharp pain made her raise her swan-like neck and scream toward the sky. Hot tears and cold sweat were running down her face. Pa! Jiang Tian slapped her soft chest and knocked her to the ground. He sneered, damn girl, you are ruthless. If you don't hand over the remaining pieces of the map, I will strip you naked and throw you on the street. You, looking at Jiang Tian's cold eyes, Song Shuangyan trembled in fear. For the first time, her expression changed from anger to panic. No matter how powerful, ruthless, and resourceful she was just a woman. Some fears were hard to overcome. What the fuck? The Arbiter is so powerful. He even dared to slap the Song family's first daughter. Seeing this scene, Xiaohu's eyes lit up with fanaticism. He finally had a taste of the Arbiter's peerless ferocity. Before this, there was a rumor that the 6 major families wanted to hold the Arbiter ceremony to establish a connection with the Arbiter Kang Taechu. However, Kang Taechu rejected it. In fact, if this ceremony was really held, Kang Taechu would have already taken control of Yanjin. How would Lu Lixuan have a chance? Humph, this is nothing. Yuan Ning sipped her red wine. Her face was full of arrogance as she said, Kang Taechu has already given him face. Back in Japan, he even pinned the president of the Sakura Society, Sasaki Kaisha, to the ground and killed the minister of the Ministry of Defense. He is finally going to unleash his thunderous power. Humph, this time, Lu Lixuan is in danger. Chen Jiafu's eyes also lit up as he stared at the back of that figure. This time, Kang Taechu has completely fallen out with the Song and Lu families. Unless old monster Zhang comes out, no one in Yanjin can stop him. Elder Zhou said decisively, as if he was holding a pearl of wisdom. Only people at his level could understand how terrifying Jiang Tian was. How could a young master like Lu Lixuan, who relied on his family's protection and pulled out a tiger's banner, be compared to such an unrivaled character in East Asia, a peerless powerhouse who had single-handedly suppressed a country and walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood? The people in the front yard were discussing. Many of them had vaguely guessed Jiang Tian's true identity, but no one would go and tell Lu Lixuan. They wanted to fan the flames and make Lu Lixuan hit a rock with an egg. Why would they tell him? Who dares to kill in the Song family's manner? Could it be an arcanist from abroad? This is an important area in Yanjin. The Song and Lu families are political and business families. Even an arcanist from abroad wouldn't dare to offend them. Who is it? How dare they? When the news spread to the Songtao pavilion, the entire backyard was in an uproar. Even Lu Lishuan couldn't sit still. Lu Liwei, Xiao Dezhu, and Song Poju were killed and his fiancée was slapped. This was an unbearable provocation for Lu Lishuan. He stood up with a gloomy face and said with a murderous look, "Good, good, good. I want to see who dares to provoke the Lu family. I will make sure he dies a horrible death." He then rushed out of the door. Chapter 556. The Song family and the Lu family in Yanjin supported them. The leaders of the Yi family and the Feng family in the Yangtze River Delta looked at each other and followed them out. The lord of the Xia family and the others who didn't like Lu Lishuan were also excited and said, "Let's go out and see what kind of person dares to offend Lu Lishuan." For a moment, everyone from the Great Pine Pavilion surrounded Lu Lishuan as he walked out. Every one of them had an extraordinary aura. Half of the top 100 richest people in Huaxia were present, and there was no lack of celebrities and politicians among them. All of them were at the top of the pyramid of wealth and power in Huaxia. It was as if Lu Lishuan had thousands of soldiers and horses behind him. It could be said that he was extremely powerful. When they came to the front yard, Lu Lishuan glanced around and was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Lu Liwei's death was nothing. He was just a useless junior of the Lu family, but Song Poju was very important. He was the core of his team. Xiao Dezhu had been with him for many years and was a grand master that the Lu family had spent a lot of money to win over. What he couldn't accept was that his fiancée was beaten like a dead dog. It wasn't Song Shuangyan, it was Lu Lishuan's face and the Lu family's face. Hiss. Even Song Shuangyan was beaten. Even the Xia family, Gu family, Long family, and the other family heads, who had stayed out of the matter and watched the tigers fight, felt their eyelids twitch when they saw this scene. They all gasped in unison. Lu Lishuan's face was as dark as water. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He suppressed his anger and tried to calm down. "Brother, where did you come from? How dare you beat my fiancée and kill my subordinates and brothers? Who would dare to provoke the Lu family? A master of a hidden sect or a descendant of Yi Zhantian?" Lu Lishuan thought as he stared at Jiang Tian. He used to learn spells from Zhang Qianlei and also learned martial arts from a famous master. Although his talent was average and his cultivation was not strong, he still had a basic eyesight. He couldn't detect the slightest fluctuation of true qi from Jiang Tian's body. He was just like an ordinary person, which made him even more confused. Jiang Tian from the medicine king Jiang Tian of Jin City. Jiang Tian sipped his champagne and said nonchalantly. "The Jiang family, the king of medicine." Lu Lishuan was arrogant and had only heard of the medicine king, the Jiang family. He then laughed disdainfully. "Do you know that an ant like you is something that I can crush with a wave of my hand? What sort of enmity do you have with my Lu clan? Are you courting death by running amok here? Your fiancée broke off the engagement with me, but she has yet to return the betrothal gifts. She owes me a piece of the map fragment." Jiang Tian laughed mockingly. "If you're a man, then return it on her behalf. Otherwise, I'll take her away and make her my sword attendant." "No, trash like her doesn't have the qualifications to be my sword attendant. I'm afraid she can only be a servant who washes my feet." "Jiang Tian, you are too arrogant," Lu Lishuan said coldly. "Do you know that the Lu clan is the most powerful clan in Huaxia? Even if you know a little about martial arts, even if you are a grandmaster, I can still mobilize the military and the police to kill you. That's right, you don't know what's good for you. How dare you kill someone in the Song family? Call Zhang Long over. Zhang Wanqing of the Jiang family should be in the top 10 on the list of the world's richest people. Let's work together and kill her in minutes." How dare you speak so arrogantly in front of young Master Lu? You are so arrogant. Many family lords and tycoons who didn't know Jiang Tian's background pointed at Jiang Tian and shouted at him. Only Su Tianyun and Yi Haochen looked at Jiang Tian as if they had seen a ghost. Finally, Yi Haochen came to his senses and exclaimed, "Young Master Lu, he is Kang Teichu Jiang." Jiang. Kang Teichu Jiang. Yi Haochen didn't expect that the whole crowd would turn silent after he said that. It was as if all the noise had been absorbed by an invisible sponge, leaving behind only a still image. Everyone seemed to have been immobilized as they stared at the young man who was drinking wine under the pavilion. They didn't move at all, as if they were clay statues. He really is Kang Teichu. Lu Lishuan looked carefully and finally confirmed it. His expression changed drastically. After Jiang Tian cultivated the gunmetal divine body, he had two appearances. One was when he walked in the mortal world, and the other was when he was in battle. A few of his battles were watched by the world, and there were still photos of him. Although Jiang Tian's appearance was that of the mortal world, he still had some similarities with the gunmetal divine body. Lu Lishuan could still tell. Then, he looked at Song Shuang Yen with a somewhat reproachful gaze. His heart skipped a beat. When did she get engaged with Kang Teichu? She even took his betrothal gift and didn't return it. He didn't know that the secret search for the map of the ruins of immortality was the Song family's secret strategy for decades. Song Shuangyan was clever and suspicious by nature. She even hid it from him. Naturally, she didn't tell him about her engagement with Jiang Tian. Adjudicator. Kang Teichu. Song Shuangyan's head buzzed. She looked up in shock and fear at Jiang Tian, as if she was seeing him for the first time. The feeling was as if the ants that he had trampled on all day had expanded by billions of times in an instant, turning into primeval gods that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, devouring the sky and the earth, and plucking the stars and the moon. It seems that it's true. What should I do? I'm afraid I have to ask old monster Zhang to come out. Seeing her expression, Lu Lishuan immediately knew that it was true. He couldn't help but be in a dilemma. How could he be a match for Jiang Tian? It was just that when he saw that Jiang Tian was like a wild crane and didn't interfere with the affairs of the secular world, he took advantage of the chaos in Yanjing and established the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance under the protection of his family and Zhang Qianlei's name to fish in troubled waters. If he really encountered Jiang Tian, he immediately became muddle-headed and his brain stopped working. He still hadn't decided whether to evade and quibble, immediately bow his head and admit defeat, or directly turn hostile and fight to the death. Unexpectedly, Yi Haochen said proudly, Kang Teichu, do you think you can be arrogant and overbearing in Huaxia just because you're unrivaled in Singapore? You should know that this is Yanjing, young Master Lu's world, not your small plot of land. If you know what's good for you, kneel and beg young Master Lu for mercy. At his level, he couldn't get more information about Jiang Tian. He didn't know that Jiang Tian had conquered Japan and killed 11 gods in a row to become the arbiter of Huaxia. He thought that Jiang Tian was the same as before, and that he was just doing well in Singapore. Now that Lu Lishuan had arrived, Yi Haochen's courage was boosted and he became arrogant and domineering. Kneel and beg for mercy, my ass. At this moment, Lu Lishuan wanted to slap Yi Haochen away. However, he also knew that he couldn't back down at this time. Otherwise, he would have no prestige to speak of, and the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance would be a bubble in his dream. Therefore, he didn't teach Yi Haochen a lesson. Instead, he cupped his fists and said, Master Kang has arrived. To be honest, my great-grandfather, the Duke Shen, has always praised Master Kang and is very impressed. I will definitely investigate the matter of my fiancé defaulting on the remnant map and give you an explanation. Before he finished speaking, Jiang Tian raised his hand and a ray of light hit the air. Whoosh! The golden light was the size of a radish. It was like an armor-piercing bullet from a Barrett sniper rifle. It was as fast as lightning and exceeded the speed of sound. It drew a golden light and pierced through Yi Haochen's chest. This young master of Zhonghai City had a hole in his chest, and he fell to the ground on his back. He seemed to have never thought that Jiang Tian would kill him in front of Lu Lishuan. He still had an arrogant smile on his face. Kang Te-chu. Lu Lishuan was furious. His eyes were burning with anger as if he wanted to cut Jiang Tian into pieces to vent his anger. If he didn't show up, Jiang Tian would have killed Song Shuangyan and he would have found some excuse to comfort himself and the others. It's just a misunderstanding. The arbiter doesn't know about my relationship with them, but now, Jiang Tian killed someone in front of him, which meant that he didn't take him seriously. How could he not be angry? Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? Who does your great ancestor, Lu Zhenghua, think he is? After Jiang Tian raised his hand to kill, his expression was calm and at ease, as if he had just crushed an ant. It did not cause the slightest ripple in his heart. He also ignored Lu Lishuan's anger. Many family lords and tycoons were silent. They lowered their heads and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They were having a fierce battle in their minds. Lu Lishuan, the top prince of Yanjin, was backed by the Lu family and the Song family. He had a great influence in the mortal world and was extremely powerful. He could order officials around and mobilize thousands of troops at will. He had the power to topple mountains and overturn seas. As for Jiang Taichu, he was the #1 immortal state warrior in China, the leader of the Heavenly Alliance, the imperial preceptor of Singapore, and the Grand Emperor of South Korea. He also controlled the South Korean Tanjuan's faction behind the scenes. He was a peerless expert who had suppressed Lin Zhenyu, Wang Zhongyan, Xiao Bin, and the imperial preceptor. He had even defeated a 28-man army in East Asia, suppressing a country by himself. The clash between the two of them was like Mars crashing into Earth. It would set off monstrous waves and had the power to destroy the world. This was a serious matter and they didn't dare to express their opinions. Once they expressed their stance, they would offend the other party. It was very likely that they would be crushed into nothingness. Very well. Kang Te-chu, you're really arrogant. Lu Lishuan was so angry that his body trembled. His lips trembled and his handsome face turned red. He was born with a golden spoon in his mouth and looked down on Hua Xia like a noble. His life had been smooth since he was a child and nobody had ever dared to touch his reverse scale. Any opponent or enemy, as long as they heard the words, Crown Prince of the Lu family, would be like a believer seeing a god, panicking and begging for mercy. That day, Jiang Tian killed his subordinate and humiliated his fiancée. In the end, he still killed someone in front of him. He didn't even care about his great ancestor, which was like slapping him in the face. That was a humiliation he couldn't bear. Kang Te-chu, you're going to fight the Lu family and the Song family. He shouted furiously. Chapter 557. He was enraged, but he had forgotten. Their subordinates, Li Yanmei, Song Poju and Lu Liwei, were tyrannical in the mortal world and had offended Jiang Tian's family and friends several times. Today, when Jiang Tian came, they also wanted to kill Jiang Tian on the spot. Lu Lishuan suppressed his anger and sternly reprimanded him. I know you are powerful, but don't forget that the Song and Lu families also have immortal state warriors and the political and business power we control is not something you can imagine. No matter how powerful you are, can you be stronger than the army of Hua Xia? No matter how domineering you are, do you dare to resist the power of the mortal world? Song and Lu families? They are just a bunch of dogs and chickens. I can kill them with my sword. Jiang Tian glanced at the people behind him with a cold gaze and said coldly, Today, I just want to take what Song Shuangyan owes me. I don't want to hurt the innocent. Do you want to die? When they came into contact with Jiang Tian's terrifying mental pressure, everyone felt as if they were being stared at by a super great demon god that could devour the heavens and the earth. Waves of cold air rose from the bottom of their hearts, and they were so scared that their legs went soft. Some of the socialites even burst into tears. In order to protect his family, Jiang Tian didn't want to reveal his identity in the mortal world. He only used the name Kang Tae-chu to dominate the world. They didn't care about the identity of the Medicine King and the Crown Prince of the Jiang family. Even Zhang Wanqing and Jiang Zhixing couldn't make these magnates afraid. But Kang Tae-chu. Who didn't know and who didn't fear him? He was invincible in East Asia and Southeast Asia. He killed 11 immortal generals on the Censor Peak and destroyed the Bai family. That was a ferocious martial arbiter who had absolute power over life and death. He was an arbiter of martial arts who could easily wipe out an entire clan. Jiang Taichu, we've already formed the Huaxia Renaissance Alliance. We'll live and die together, and we're of the same breath and branch. Do you want to be the enemy of so many overlords here? Seeing this, Lu Lishuan was full of arrogance and smiled disdainfully. He looked at Jiang Tian as if he were a fool. Martial artists had a treaty that forbade them from disturbing or trampling on the order of the secular world. Even when the Bai family was still around, they didn't dare to trample on these secular families without restraint. Instead, they roped them in and controlled them in the name of protecting them. No matter how strong Kang Tae-chu was, he could not break this rule and openly make an enemy of the secular world. Moreover, the Song clan and the Lu clan both had godly state experts behind them. They were on the same level as Jiang Tian. But at this moment, Xia Minghui, the head of the Xia family in Yanjing, was the first to walk up to Jiang Tian. I'm Xia Minghui, the head of the Xia family in Yanjing. Greetings to the adjudicator, Mr. Kang Tae-chu. I wish Mr. Jiang a long and boundless life, an invincible victory in every battle. In the secular world, the Xia family was ranked second. They had fought several political and business wars with the Lu and Song families, and were like fire and water. But now, the Lu family and the Song family were connected by marriage, and they had gathered many great families to form the Hua-Xia Revival Alliance. They were already attacking the Xia family from both sides. If the Xia family resisted, they would definitely be torn to pieces by the Lu family and the Song family and die without a burial place. If the Xia family surrendered, they would definitely be in a bad position in the alliance because of the previous conflicts. They might even be slowly eaten away by the Lu family and the Song family. In short, their future was worrying. He had always hoped that Jiang Tian would appear. Seeing that Jiang Tian and Lu Lishuan were at loggerheads, how could he not show his support? Very well. Those who enter my sect are my disciples, and receive my protection. Jiang Tian nodded slightly. Thank you, Master Kang. Xia Minghui was overjoyed and quickly stood behind Jiang Tian. Greetings, Adjudicator Jiang. Xia Lin's beautiful eyes sparkled as she bowed gracefully. She stood side by side with Han Qingli, obediently standing behind Jiang Tian like two beautiful maids. I'm Gutsun Wang from the Gu family in Yanjing. Greetings, Master Kang. The head of the Gu family also expressed his support. I'm the head of the Long family in Yanjing. Greetings, Master Kang. The head of the Long family also stood out. I'm Zhou Fengnian, the head of the Zhou family. I've admired Master Kang for a long time. Greetings, Master Kang. Old man Zhou also walked behind Jiang Tian. In less than a minute, the heads of the Lu family and the Song family who were at odds with the Lu family and the Song family all bowed down to Jiang Tian. Damn, how is this possible? Li Yanmei, Xia Lin and the other socialites were shocked as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Any one of these people would be a powerful and influential figure, or a rich and powerful person. But at this moment, they were all worshipping Jiang Tian, even kneeling and kowtowing to him. After that, dozens of nouveau riches like Yuan Ning, Qin Jiafu, and Xiao Hu all chose to stand behind Jiang Tian. In less than 3 minutes, there were only a dozen people standing behind Lu Lishuan. As Lu Lishuan cried out in alarm, Leaf Dao Denier, who had been silent all this time, suddenly strode over to Jiang Tian, lifted his robe, and knelt down on the ground. Yi Wudao, a martial arts junior from Jiangzhe, greets Grandmaster Jiang Taichu. Old man Yi, you. What? Lu Lishuan and Song Shuangyan's faces paled as soon as they heard Yi Wudao's words. Everyone behind Yi Wudao knelt down. Kai Zhijing. She was the underground queen of the Yangtze River Delta region. She wore a green cheongsam and was the disciple of Yi Wudao, the legendary transcendent state expert. Yi Yanghe. The head of the Yi group, the son of Yi Wudao and the fifth richest man in Huaxia. Yi Changsheng. The fourth-generation heir of the Yi family, the most powerful young master in the Yangtze River Delta region and the future heir of the Yi family. Li Zhihua. The richest man in Zhonghai, the CEO of the Hua Chuang Group, the 12th richest man in Huaxia, Yi Wudao's disciple. As soon as Yi Wudao showed up, almost all the tycoons in the Yangtze River Delta region, except for Yi Haochen's family, knelt before Jiang Tian. In addition, the Jiang family of the Medicine King originally dominated Su province, suppressing the other families to the point that they couldn't raise their heads. It was equivalent to the entire Yangtze River Delta region submitting to Jiang Tian. He has captured all the overlords in the world. He is so powerful that he can overlook Huaxia. He is not the arbiter. What is the arbiter? There were even some martial artists present who thought about a deeper level and sighed one after another. Hua Qingtian of the Central Plains, Zhao Yuankuan of the Gan Province, Wei Failong of the Beha Province, Wu Yingxiong of the Southwest Province and many other grandmasters were members of the Heavenly Alliance. Yi Wudao of the Jiangxi Province had submitted to the Heavenly Alliance, which meant that the Heavenly Alliance had recruited all the local grandmasters. Besides, the 6 major martial arts families of Yanjin had also submitted to the Heavenly Alliance. This meant that other than the Hidden World sects, all the martial arts experts in Huaxia had submitted to Jiang Tian. This was the power of the arbiter. At this moment, even Su Tianyun was unable to withstand the immense pressure. He scrambled over to Jiang Tian and wailed, "Brother Jiang Tian. Master Kong, please forgive me for being foolish. I am willing to give up the darkness and join the light. I was bewitched by Lu Lishuan. When you and your son offended me in Jinlin City, I didn't ask Qin Zhong to kill you. I only asked you to get out of Huaxia. Now that you've returned to Huaxia, you've distorted the truth, confused people's hearts, and repeatedly provoked me. Do you think my words are nonsense?" Jiang Tian said coldly as a murderous glint flashed in his eyes. "Arbiter Jiang, I was wrong. I won't do it again." Su Tianyun, the richest man in Huaxia, was so scared that he peed his pants and kowtowed. "It's too late. Go to hell." Jiang Tian slapped Su Tianyun into a pulp and embedded him in the ground. Hiss. The richest man in Huaxia was killed just like that. The tragic scene shocked many of the socialites and young masters, causing them to suck in a breath of cold air. "That's so scary." Li Yanmei was especially shocked. She lost control of her bladder again and splashed on the ground. However, Jiang Tian still gave Leaf Dao Denier some respect. He slowly rose to his feet, raised his hands, and said with a faint smile, "Grandmaster Yi, I've long heard of your great name. Now that I have met you, you are extraordinary. I dare not call myself a master in front of Master Kong." Yi Wudao said politely. "Yi Wudao, how could you not abide by the covenant?" Lu Lishuan asked in shock and anger. "Do you think you can call me by my name?" Yi Wudao's slightly widened eyes were full of anger. He turned his head and scolded. "My covenant with you is that if Master Kong doesn't come out, I will lend you a hand to protect the secular world and revive the economy of Huaxia. But since Grandmaster Jiang is willing to lead a group of heroes to protect the secular world of Huaxia, when is it up to a little brat like you to make decisions? Have you killed Wang Chongyan of the Blue Cloth Society and protected Huaxia? Have you destroyed the Cherry Blossom Society and raised the prestige of our country? Have you revived the prestige of the War Dragon and served the country?" With each question, he took a step forward. After a few words, he was already in the middle of the field, facing Lu Lishuan. "Relying only on the protection of your ancestors and pulling on the tiger's skin, you're trying in vain to claim that you're alone and compete with Grandmaster Jiang. What ability do you have? You're simply daydreaming, wishful thinking. These words made Lu Lishuan's face turn purple and red, as if blood was about to drip out. He was so angry that his body trembled. He gritted his teeth and shouted, "Very well, very well. I will remember your disrespect and shameless betrayal today. The masters behind the Lu family and the Song family will come out and suppress you." Yi Wudao laughed and said, "Master Kong once killed 11 immortal state warriors on the incense stove peak. How many immortal state warriors do you have in the Song family and the Lu family? Do you think Master Kong can kill you?" Although Leaf Dao Denier's words were harsh, they were actually meant to protect Lu Lishuan. He wanted Lu Lishuan to understand the gap between them and retreat. It also lowered his status and made it seem like he wasn't worth Jiang Tian's attention. "Song Shuangyan, you have seen it for yourself. The Song family and the Lu family don't have the power to compete with me. However, I won't bully you." Jiang Tian ignored Lu Lishuan and looked at Song Shuangyan. "You have bullied me, humiliated me, lied to me and slandered me many times. However, I, Kang Te-chu, am not a narrow-minded person. If you hand over the incomplete map, I will let bygones be bygones and let you go. If you don't repent, I will kill your husband first and turn you into a widow. Then, I will destroy the Song family." Everyone went deathly silent. Even Leaf Dao Denier's face fell, and he opened his mouth to speak, but then hesitated. After all, Lu Lishuan represented the peak of power in Huaxia. If Jiang Tian killed him, it would be tantamount to ignoring the order of the world and it would cause a huge uproar. However, in Jiang Tian's eyes, there was no difference between the world and the martial arts. There was only one principle. Those who offend him must be killed. Chapter 558. When he was in the outer space, he had killed countless royal families and empires that tried to provoke him. Besides, how could Lu Lishuan represent Huaxia's secular rights? "Jiang, do you dare to touch me?" Song Shuangyan was shocked and angry at the same time, she shouted while dancing. Fine, if you don't repent, then I'll grant you your wish." Jiang Tian's eyes flashed with murderous intent. "Song Shuangyan, why did you give him back the map? Do you want to kill me?" Seeing Jiang Tian reveal his intention, Lu Lishuan, who knew he was no match for him, was scared out of his wits. Cold sweat dripped down his face. He rolled his eyes and suddenly his attitude took a 180-degree turn. His technique was only at the initial stage of ethereal enlightenment, and his martial arts were only at the peak of internal strength. He was no match for Jiang Tian. "You can't give it back. This map is related to the secret of immortality. He won't dare to kill us." Song Shuangyan's eyes were filled with tears as she screamed crazily. Song family exhausted all of their resources and sacrificed dozens of family members to find this map. With it, we can even make the hidden sects submit to us. Don't be afraid, my grandfather will be here soon. Master Kong, Lishuan has already understood and expressed his stance. Can you give the old man some face and spare Lu Lishuan's life? Yi Wudao bowed deeply. Lu Lishuan, you are a smart person. I won't kill you. Jiang Tian smiled coldly. Song Shuangyan, if you continue to be so stubborn, I will break off our relationship and cancel the engagement. As if encouraged by Jiang Tian, Lu Lishuan stood beside Jiang Tian, pointed at Song Shuangyan and shouted angrily. Not only that, my Lu family will also support the adjudicator Master Kong to defeat your Song family. Lu Lishuan, how can you do this? Song Shuangyan's eyes were lifeless and filled with despair. At this moment, she felt as if she had been betrayed and abandoned by the entire world. She was left alone to deal with a terrifying existence like Jiang Tian. Song Shuangyan, you can't even keep your life, yet you still want to become an immortal. You're not as tactful as your fiancé. Jiang Tian stood up and made a grabbing motion with his right hand. A surge of attractive force enveloped Song Shuangyan. Right now. Lu Lishuan's eyes suddenly turned gloomy and murderous. A black stone the size of a pigeon's egg appeared in his right palm. He made a hand seal with his left hand, and the ink-black stone suddenly shot out tens of thousands of lightning bolts, like silver snakes, towards Jiang Tian to envelop him. At this moment, the two of them were very close to each other, and the lightning was moving at extreme speed. In an instant, the lightning struck Jiang Tian's body. Ha! This is the lightning palm refined by the lightning master Zhang Qianlei. It has a temperature of 10,000 degrees and can destroy everything. Even a deity realm expert can be destroyed in body and soul. Kang Te-chu, oh Kang Te-chu, you've lost in the end. Looking at Jiang Tian's suddenly stiffened body, Lu Lishuan couldn't help but laugh out loud complacently. The Heavenly Master sect of Longhu Mountain was known for the most dangerous and powerful lightning arts in the world. Zhang Qianlei was the last sect master of the Heavenly Master sect and the last Heavenly Master of the Republic of China, a perfected cultivator with a Tao body. He had learned the secret art of thunder and combined it with the 9 palace flying stars, the green sack thunder scripture and the 8 trigrams of yin and yang to summon the divine thunder of the 9 heavens with a dharma seal. Finally, he condensed it in the thunder ink stone. Once activated, it could shoot out the divine thunder of the 9 heavens, like an electromagnetic gun with astonishing destructive power, far surpassing ordinary lightning. Lu Lishuan was born in the mortal world, so his talent in martial arts and dharma spells was average and his willpower was poor. Most of his time was spent on worldly power and wealth. However, his family background was powerful, and he had countless heavenly treasures and dharma artifacts. He had destroyed hundreds of lightning palms, but he finally mastered the art of activating dharma artifacts. Once the lightning palm was launched, it was comparable to Zhang Qianlei's divine thunder. Lu Lishuan was confident that he could at least severely injure Jiang Tian and weaken his power, if not kill him immediately. Who would have thought that he had truly underestimated Jiang Tian's ability too much? Jiang Tian's body froze for a moment before he shuddered. He turned to look at Lu Lishuan with a smile and said, "That's right. Young Master Lu, why are you flirting with me? It actually makes my heart beat faster." "What the hell is that?" Lu Lishuan was dumbfounded as he looked at the dazzling ball of lightning in Jiang Tian's right hand. He was scared out of his wits and stumbled backward. "You're not even afraid of the divine thunder of the 9 heavens. Are you a god? Could it be that you're gay?" "Sorry, I'm a straight man. I can't accept your flirting." Jiang Tian continued his confusing speech. He raised his right hand and pressed the ball of lightning into Lu Lishuan's head. Boom! In an instant, Lu Lishuan's skull became transparent. The brain, wrinkles, nerves, and blood vessels inside were clearly visible. In the next moment, his head, along with most of his body, suddenly exploded in the dazzling electric light that was flashing and running around. Blurg! Seeing the brains and body parts all over the ground, smelling the pungent smell of blood and burnt flesh, many of the rich people present started to vomit crazily. They were almost vomiting their bile. Only 2 legs left. He died without a whole body. This is too scary. On the other hand, Li Yanmei and the other young ladies were so scared that they were trembling in fear. They were all flowers in a greenhouse. Even if they fought for power, killed, and robbed, they would use others' hands. They had never seen such a bloody and tragic scene. They were so frightened by this horrible scene that their legs turned to jelly. They looked at Jiang Tian as if they had seen a demon. This is the thunder palm made by Zhang Qianlei. It contains the heavenly thunder of the 9th heaven. It is far more powerful than the ordinary thunder talisman, but Master Kong can control it? Mr. Shi and the other martial arts overlords were stunned. They looked at Jiang Tian in awe as if they had seen a god. "Ah, Lu Lishuan, Master Kong wanted to let you go, but you sneakily attacked him. You are too smart for your own good." Yi Wudao shook his head and sighed. There was a hint of worry in his eyes. He knew that the Song family and the Lu family, as well as Zhang Qianlei and the other overlords behind them, would not rest until Jiang Tian was dead. "Kang Te-chu, how dare you kill my great-grandson?" A weak and hoarse voice sounded, but it was full of anger and murderous intent. An old man wearing an old military coat with medals on his chest walked in from the gate, surrounded by a group of middle-aged men with extraordinary bearing. He slammed the red cane in his hand on the ground. His slightly widened eyes were full of anger and murderous intent. It was Lu Xingguo, the great ancestor of the Lu family. He was one of the few remaining founding fathers of China. Behind him were the leaders and elites of the Lu family and the Song family. Even the family lord of the Song family, Song Beishan, was there. He wants to kill me. Why can't I kill him? Jiang Tian raised his hand and grabbed in the air. Song Shuangyan, who was a dozen meters away, fell into his hand uncontrollably. His one hand directly grabbed Song Shuangyan's snow-white slender neck, directly choking this Song family's daughter who overlooked Yanjing into the air. Even though Jiang Tian was only 1.75 meters tall and Song Shuangyan, who was wearing high heels, was about the same height as him. But at this moment, Song Shuangyan in his hands was like a weak little chick in the claws of an eagle. Kang Taichu, put her down. Kang Taichu, how dare you? What do you want to do? Song Beishan and the others were furious and shouted. Song Beishan, the Song family owes me. You must pay me back. Otherwise, I will kill your whole family. Jiang Tian said coldly. After he finished speaking, he didn't care about the chaotic and furious crowd. Carrying Song Shuangyan, he stepped on his flying sword and turned into a stream of light, disappearing before everyone's eyes. No one could stop him, and no one dared to stop him. He single-handedly killed powerful people and nobles with a snap of his fingers. He blasted the crown prince of Yanjing, Lu Lishuan, and kidnapped Song Shuangyan. Jiang Tian used his invincible attitude to tell the nobles of Yanjing what the true power of a martial arts adjudicator was. Sigh, Song Shuangyan didn't listen to me. She finally got herself killed. Mr. Shi stood aside and watched for a long time. He looked up at the sky and sighed helplessly. Lu Lishuan was killed and Song Shuangyan was kidnapped. This news was like a heavy bomb that spread throughout the upper-class society of Yanjing. Who was Lu Lishuan? He was the eldest son of the fourth generation of the top political and business family in Huaxia. He was specially trained since birth and was the future leader of the Lu family. He was like a prince of the ancient times. Moreover, after the marriage with Song Shuangyan, he had the support of the third most powerful political and business family in Huaxia, the Song family. It could be said that he dominated Yanjing and suppressed Huaxia. But he was killed. Who could be so arrogant and unscrupulous? After hearing this news, many people were stupefied. They couldn't believe it, as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. How is it possible? Who did it? Lu Lishuan, he is my idol. In the Fragrant Hills Villa, a punk girl exclaimed in the living room of Pan Jiejun's house. I heard that it was the nephew of Zhang Zhongguo who broke my legs. Pan Jiejun held a cup of hot water and said with a trembling voice, I heard that Song Shuangyan had a marriage agreement with him before. Song Shuangyan broke off the engagement and didn't return the betrothal gift. Then, a conflict broke out, that arrogant guy. Wang Xinzhu, who looked elegant, smiled in disdain and said, he will die miserably after offending the Lu family. How much military force can the Lu family mobilize? I'm afraid he will be crushed in minutes. I'm afraid he is already dead. Great, Pan Jiejun, the Lu family will avenge you without your old man doing anything. The punk girl snorted and said with resentment. There were conflicts between the political and business families in Yanjing, but there were unspoken rules and bottom lines. They had never killed or kidnapped people so easily. It could be said that Jiang Tian broke the unspoken rules and bottom lines. How could the Lu family tolerate him? Chapter 559. Keep it down, you two. Pan Jiejun said with fear written all over his face. I heard that the man is not an ordinary man. Even my father and the new head of the Fu family, Fu Jioga, were intimidated by him. What? Isn't he the young master of the Medicine King group? Why would your father be afraid of him? Wang Xinzhu's eyes widened in disbelief. He has another identity. I think he is called the martial arts adjudicator, Kang Tae-chu. Pan Jiejun's face turned pale. Martial arts adjudicator? What is that? Many of the young masters and socialites present looked at each other with puzzled faces. The major families who received the news had different reactions, but they were all shocked and paid close attention to the matter. The adjudicator is indeed the adjudicator. He is so domineering. Chen Zifen's face was full of admiration. Then he sneered and said, "What bullshit is Lu Lishuan? Isn't he just a little secular power? He actually went to create some nuisance called the Revival Alliance, vainly attempting to challenge Grandmaster Jiang. He is really courting death." "Sigh, Zifen, you are too naive." Qin Zhong said with a serious face, "For decades after the founding of the country, the martial arts families can bully the common people because of the martial arts convention. But even the Bai family doesn't dare to do anything to the top political and business families like the Lu and Song families." Next to him, Lin Fengmian said, "That's right. The martial arts families have joined forces with many political and business forces in the name of protecting the secular families. But we don't dare to kill them. Uncle Qin, I know. I think these political and business families are too spoiled. They think we don't dare to do anything to them." Chen Zifen's face was full of arrogance as he snorted, "If we were as strong as Grandmaster Jiang, would Lu Lishuan dare to stop you when you robbed Su Tianyun of his wealth? He would be scared to death. We have martial arts, but they have secular power. If we really fall out with them, we may not be able to take advantage of them." Qin Zhong said helplessly. "Just like when Yi Tianren represented the military in Huaxia and defeated the Hong sect, the Green Gang, the Second Floor, the Blue Man Society, and the 9 Stories Tower, just like when Yi Zhantian launched Operation Drawing Sword in the 1990s. After all, we are an established force and are not favored by the government. We will be suppressed." Chen Zifen said nonchalantly, "But Yi Zhantian and Master Kang are pretty close now. What if the Lu family wants to mobilize the military and police forces? I'm afraid even Chao Shixiang won't be able to stop them." Qin Zhong narrowed his eyes and sighed. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed drastically. "Oh my God, what should we do? The Lu family is the #1 political and business family, so they definitely have the ability to do so." Fatty Fu was so scared that the fat on his body trembled, and his forehead was covered in sweat. "In my opinion, there's no need to worry for now." Qin Zongheng pondered for a moment, and then said in a deep voice, "I've carefully investigated the situation that day, and I didn't miss any details. Master Kang tried peaceful means before resorting to force. From the beginning to the end, he was on the defensive. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was retaliating in self-defense." Chen Zifen was overjoyed. He slapped his thigh and said, "Zongheng, you are right this time. A martial artist has to abide by the rules of martial arts. They are not allowed to harm ordinary people, but that doesn't mean that they can't fight back in the face of death." The Han family. Han Batian was shocked after receiving Han Qingli's detailed report. He was speechless for a long time. After a long time, he finally said in a deep voice, "This is the power of an arbiter. But the Song family and the Lu family are not to be trifled with either. I'm afraid this time, they will fight Kang Tae-chu to the bitter end." The Zhang family. Zhang Jinghua was also in a dilemma as he was making a difficult decision. His fierce maneuver had finally allowed the Zhang family to ride on Jiang Tian's coattails. But now, Jiang Tian and the Lu family and the Song family were like fire and water. If things went wrong, the Song family and the Lu family would be implicated. Sigh, this Jiang Tian is too reckless. Even if he is an arbiter, the Lu family and the Song family are giants. It's not good to offend them. Zhang Zhonghua shook his head helplessly. "Father, a gentleman does not stand under a collapsing wall. Should we sever our relationship with Jiang Tian? I have already received a call from the Song family and the Lu family. If we don't give them an explanation, the Zhang family and the Jiang family will be wiped out." Yeah. Old lady Su Shulan sighed. Although Jiang Tian is very capable, he might not be too unscrupulous in his actions and disregard the consequences. Besides, even if fourth brother is the head of the family now, will Jiang Tian really help the Zhang family? Zhang Danfeng's face was clouded with uncertainty, but he didn't say anything. This kind of confrontation was beyond his knowledge. He couldn't make up his mind. No. Zhang Jinghua pondered for a long time and finally shook his head. We have already lost Jiang Tian once. We can't lose him again. The Zhang family must support Jiang Tian at all costs. But, father, this is very risky. Zhang Zhongguo was reluctant. Fortune comes from danger. Zhang Jinghua straightened his body, like an unsheathed sword, revealing his sharpness. Have you forgotten that we were encroached upon by the Han family? Have you forgotten the fear of being dominated by the top families? The Zhang family can no longer shrink back. At this time, in the Lu family mansion, Lu Lishuan's portrait was hung high, wreaths and elegiac couplets were unbroken, and mournful music shook the heavens. In the meeting hall, the atmosphere was oppressive and dull. The high-level members of the Song and Lu families were gathered to discuss this matter. This is openly provoking the Lu family, provoking the authority of the old master. It must be suppressed by force. Send out all the masters and experts, I will tear this Jiang Tian into pieces. The head of the Lu family, Lu Lishuan's grandfather, Lu Qiji slammed the table and roared. The other high-level members were also filled with righteous indignation. There were also hot-tempered juniors of the Lu family who claimed that they would kill their way to Fragrant Hill and take Jiang Tian's life. Brother Qiji, but that person is the adjudicator Kang Taechu. What's more, my granddaughter is still in his hands, we have to hold back. Song Beishan shook his head bitterly. Does Kang Taechu have no respect for the law? He is openly tearing up the convention of martial arts and seriously disrupting the order of the world. Even if we report this to the central government, we can't tolerate him. The head of the Lu family consortium, Lu Lishuan's father Lu Jinlin, gritted his teeth and roared. Let the central government send out the military and police to suppress him. But, this person had once defeated 28 mixed army and air brigades in East Asia, and the central government wants stability to suppress everything. I'm afraid they won't be willing to start a war. Someone said in a low voice. Everyone fell into a dead silence when they heard this. Everyone fell into a hopeless silence. These words were not false. Jiang Tian had once dominated Singapore and East Asia. At that time, Singapore had sent out the police, while East Asia had sent out the self-defense forces. No matter which time it was, the battle was always earth-shattering and caused a huge commotion. Whether Huaxia's military was willing to send out was a problem, and even if they did, they may not be able to kill him. Kang Taechu is indeed very powerful, but this is Yanjing, he can't be presumptuous. At this time, a hoarse and old voice sounded. The great ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Zhenghua, came out leaning on a crutch. Li Xuan is the eldest son of the fourth generation of the Lu family. Our Lu family will not be bullied, we can't let this go. Father, what do you mean? Lu Qiji asked with a frown. All the people present were visibly moved. Third brother, contact Yi Zhantian and Chao Shixiang, tell them I want to invite them to tea. Lu Zhenghua said in a hoarse voice. Yes. Father. The third brother of the second generation of the Lu family, the military giant Lu Hongbing suddenly stood up. Fourth brother, contact the chief of staff, I want the Red Wall internal guards to enter the Lu family and protect them. Yes, father. The fourth brother Lu Zhanshan bowed. Fifth brother, give me an invitation, I want to go to the Red Wall courtyard to see the chief. Yes, father. Lu Zhenguo was once in a trance. After experiencing the tempering of war, he had become a founding leader. Like an old lion and sick tiger, the older he became stronger, towering like a mountain. He possessed a firm, courageous and iron-blooded aura, which was not comparable to Zhang Jinghua, Han Batian and the other younger generation figures. Lu Zhenghua issued one order after another, like an old general strategizing in a tent. After more than a dozen orders were passed down, the whole Lu family suddenly boiled with excitement. The Lu family had been in Huaxia for nearly a century, and had extensive relationships and connections. Even the two chiefs had been Lu Zhengguo's secretaries and subordinates. The power they possessed was far from what Han Batian and Zhang Jinghua could compare with. This kind of political family, the power that they could mobilize, could no longer be measured by money. Lu Zhengguo was the only remaining founding leader of Huaxia. As long as this old man was alive, the Lu family would not fall. Finally, he turned to the patriarch of the Song family, Song Beishan, and said in a low voice, "Beishan, pass on a message for me. Tonight I'm going to Yan Mountain to pay a visit to Master Zhang Qianlei." "Uncle Lu, what do you mean?" Song Beishan was taken aback and his eyes widened in shock. "I was the one who saved the Heavenly Master's sect of Dragon Tiger Mountain when the Four Olds were destroyed. Now, it's time for him to return the favor." Lu Zhengguo said in a low voice, "I once saw him fight to a draw with Bai Tianlei and his wife. He could control thunder and kill a half-step immortal state warrior. He has been in seclusion for so many years, he should be stronger than before." "Yes." Song Beishan hesitated a bit and nodded. He contacted Chao Shixiang, the long-time leader Yi Zhantian, and the Red Wall Inner Guards, as well as the central government, to exert political pressure. In the end, he even invited perfected cultivator Dao Ti, the best thunder art in the world. Once Lu Zhengguo made his move, it was as if a thunderbolt had struck. These might not be enough to kill Jiang Tian, but they could at least intimidate Jiang Tian. After all, no matter how powerful a cultivator was, he was still a human. He had a partner, a lover, and a family. He couldn't do whatever he wanted. Otherwise, he would have crossed the line and been killed. This was also the reason why these martial arts families would only gather their forces in the name of protecting the secular families, but they would never provoke these top wealthy families. The power that these political and business families could mobilize was not to be underestimated. Even a martial arts tycoon like the Bai family would be wary of them. Alas, I wonder if Zhang Qianlei is a match for Kang Taichu. Song Beishan sighed helplessly. Many people had this question in their minds. In the battle between Zhang Qianlei and Kang Taichu, who was more powerful, Dharma spells or martial arts? Chapter 560. At this time, Jiang Tian had returned to Yuhua Villa with Song Shuangyan. After leaving her in the yard, Jiang Tian sat cross-legged and meditated, letting Song Shuangyan walk around. Song Shuangyan's arm was broken. Although it was set, it was still painful. Her clothes were thin, and she was shivering from the cold. But her eyes were full of hatred, and she said coldly, "Kang Taichu, you killed Lu Lishuan and kidnapped me. You are so unscrupulous. Aren't you afraid of the revenge of the Lu and Song families?" "Ha, revenge?" Jiang Tian said disdainfully, "Do you think you are opponents? A group of ants from the secular world, I can crush them with a raise of my hand." Song Shuangyan was slightly trembling. She waved her hands and shouted, "Jiang Tian, you're too arrogant. You think we're a brute like you, using our fists to barge around? We are a political and business family, we can mobilize armed forces. You are actually provoking the confrontation between the martial arts world and the secular world. It will also make the secular world afraid of you and hate you. No one wants to live in the shadow of being killed at any time. Indeed, martial artists can't invade the secular world, but I have the right to defend myself. When I killed Lu Liwei, Song Poju, Yi Haochen, and others, you all had gunmen pointing at me. The government will not stand on your side." Jiang Tian said with a mocking smile, "You are very smart, but the arrogance of power blinded your eyes, making you ignore a lot of facts and make wrong judgments. Maybe in your life, it is normal to shoot and kill people, and others have no right to fight back. It is natural to be killed by you." Hearing this, Song Shuangyan's heart thumped. Her face was as pale as paper, and her slightly opened eyes were full of monstrous anger. "Jiang Tian, you did it on purpose. You deliberately provoked them and made them shoot, didn't you?" You are so vicious, you are a devil. Jiang Tian was too lazy to pay attention to her. He just sat there and meditated, like an old monk. Song Shuangyan anxiously paced back and forth. She suddenly turned her head and glared at Jiang Tian. She hatefully said, Jiang Tian, why did you kidnap me? Give me back the map of the ruins of immortality. Jiang Tian said coldly. What if the Song family doesn't return it? Song Shuangyan said, panting with rage. I have 10,000 ways to exterminate your Song family, and the authorities can't find any evidence. Jiang Tian laughed. Hearing this, Song Shuangyan felt a chill all over her body. She had served Zhang Qianlei for many years and knew that Jiang Tian definitely had this kind of ability. Not only did Jiang Tian not allow Song Shuangyan to move freely, he even let Song Shuangyan contact the Lu family and the Song family. And Song Shuangyan was also able to obtain information. Just as Jiang Tian had predicted, the Song family's many countermeasures were useless. The next day, on New Year's Eve, Special Envoy Shen came to visit Lu Zhenghua. However, he brought bad news. The chief was visiting the poor and had no time to meet Lu Zhenghua. Lu Zhenghua complained about Jiang Tian's atrocities. However, Special Envoy Shen was already prepared. He said that Kang Taechu was only defending himself and did not indiscriminately kill the innocent. He asked for Elder Lu's condolences and not to cause any more disputes. As for the request for the Red Wall internal guards to stay in the Lu family, it was left unsettled. Chao Shixiang expressed to Lu Hongbing that he hoped that the Lu family would consider the big picture and not use public resources for personal gain. As for Yi Zhantian, he said that he was cultivating in seclusion and did not pay any attention to the visitors from the Lu family and the Song family. As for the Zhang family, Zhang Zhonghua ordered the city bureau to investigate. However, the conclusion was the same. Jiang Tian was defending himself and the case was dismissed on the same day. However, he also transferred a few policemen to Yuhua Villa to ask Jiang Tian to return Song Shuangyan. He did a pretty good job of saving face. This spring festival was especially cold for Song Shuangyan. Their attitude is clear. The government's attitude is clear. After hearing the news, Chen Zifen laughed arrogantly. What bullshit is this Lu family? They still have to kneel when they meet a martial arts elite. Grandmaster Zhang's ferocity overflowed the heavens, crushing everything in his path. I like it. No. It's not like that. Qin Zongheng sighed with admiration. This just so happens to prove that while Grandmaster Zhang's actions seem unbridled and invincible, he actually plans before acting. He's meticulous and orderly, and he's watertight. No one can find a single flaw in his actions. That's right. Master Kong is not the kind of person who would kill the innocent. The Song family and the Lu family are digging their own graves. They deserve it. All the family heads nodded in agreement. Chen Zifen said gloomily, you guys are such a wet blanket. I like Master Kong to be simple and violent. He will kill whoever he doesn't like. The Lu family and the Song family and Jiang Tian's counterattack lasted for 5 days. In the end, a letter of challenge was sent to the Yuhua villa. Heavy snow fell from the sky. Ice and snow covered the sky. White fog shrouded the Yuhua villa, making it look like a jade palace in the immortal world. Jiang Tian and Jiang Wan were having a snowball fight and setting off firecrackers in the snow. Humph. Be proud of yourself. Zhang Tianshi is going to strike soon. I don't believe you can beat him. Inside the pavilion, Song Shuangyan, who looked much more haggard, paced back and forth anxiously. She looked at them with resentment. Just a small economic dispute and the elites of the criminal police unit are guarding them? In the distance, under the eaves, a rough man in a leather jacket frowned. He was holding a stainless steel wine flask and sipping hard liquor. And the orders from above are too strange. They don't let us catch them, they just let us watch them. A small economic dispute? Old Huang, who do you think the woman under the pavilion is? Beside him, a young man with sharp eyes and a buzz cut sneered coldly. His name was Han Haoren. When he was only 30 years old, he was already the captain of the Yanjin Criminal Police Unit. He had cracked many major cases and won many awards. The most famous case was the arrest of the drug lord Kun Sa. Legend had it that he went into the tiger's den alone with a gun and killed a dozen drug dealers with guns. He then stepped on Kun Sa and reported it to the head of the department. She looks pretty, but her eyes are a bit fierce. She owes money and doesn't pay it back. What's so great about her? Who is she? Next to him, the rough policeman, Old Huang, took a sip of wine and said disdainfully. Deadbeat? Song Beishan's granddaughter, Song Lingshuang, one of the four beauties of Yanjin. Han Haoren rolled his eyes. Song Beishan's granddaughter. Old Huang thought of the man in a Chinese tunic suit who always appeared 5 minutes before the news broadcast when he was young. He suddenly felt frightened. This man kidnapped her. Damn, he is even more fierce than Zhang Ziqiang who kidnapped Superman Li's son. Is Zhang Ziqiang comparable to him? Han Haoren recalled what Zhang Zhonghua had told him before he carried out the mission, and his heart skipped a beat. Just then, footsteps sounded at the door. A group of people walked in. Zhang Zhonghua walked at the front and said, "Comrades, you have worked hard. Remove the cordon first. These leaders want to see Mr. Jiang." Damn, who are these big shots? Old Huang turned his head and looked. He immediately stuffed the wine bottle into his pocket and threw away the cigarette. He stared at the few people in shock. Naturally, he recognized Zhang Zhonghua. There was also a Taoist priest who looked like an immortal and had an extraordinary bearing. There was also a middle-aged man in a Chinese tunic suit. He seemed to have seen him on TV before. He seemed to be an important person beside the head of the department. There was also a stern-looking old man in a Chinese tunic suit. He was Song Beishan who had not shown up for a long time. The most eye-catching one was an old man who looked like a sick tiger. Although he was old, he was domineering. He exuded the unique aura of a soldier. Looking at his position and order, his status was even higher than Zhang Zhonghua and Song Beishan. Han Haoren quickly went forward and ordered the police to remove the cordon. He made a gesture of invitation and sat down again under the roof. Who lives here? Could it be some crown prince? These visitors were too powerful. The more Old Huang thought about it, the more shocked he was. It was reasonable for him to ask such a question. The Shuangqing Villa and Yuhua Villa were originally where the leaders lived. That Mr. Jiang should also be some top crown prince. Maybe. Han Haoren saw that the few people had already walked in front of Jiang Tian and were staring at him. "Grandpa, Elder Lu, you are here." Song Shuangyan stood up weakly and greeted them. These few days could be said to be the most miserable days of her life. She suffered both psychological and physical torture. At this time, she was still wearing the cheongsam, white gloves, and high heels from the birthday party, but her body was dirty. Her hair was messy and greasy, and the bruises on her face had not subsided. She looked like a beggar on the street. "Mr. Jiang, Elder Song and Elder Lu are here to visit you." Special Envoy Shen stepped forward quickly and said with a smile. Jiang Tian threw the snowball in his hand at Jiang Weiner and dodged 2 snowballs thrown by Jiang Weiner. He raised his hand to beg for mercy and admitted defeat. After coaxing the angry Jiang Weiner, he walked over lazily. Taking a cup of hot tea from Huang Linger, Jiang Tian took a sip and said with a smile, "Special Envoy Shen is here." Seeing that Jiang Tian was arrogant and didn't even look at him, Song Beishan's emotions surged. He sighed and said with mixed feelings, "Master Kong, the Lu family was blind. They didn't see that you were such an unpredictable and domineering peerless hero." Today, Jiang Tian's power and temperament shocked him and he couldn't believe it. If not for the fact that Jiang Tian had killed Song Poju, he even felt that Jiang Tian was very amazing. One person suppressed a country, the 6 major martial arts families of Yanjin surrendered, and all the martial arts grand masters in the world worshipped him. Such a person couldn't be described as amazing. He was even more powerful than Yi Tianren when he was young. Even if Song Beishan was one of the most powerful giants in Huaxia, he still felt a great pressure when facing Jiang Tian. If the Xia family and Han family of Yan Jin were here, they would gloat and laugh. Back then, Jiang Tian had almost become Song Beishan's grandson-in-law. However, the Song family had eyes but failed to see. They had forcibly turned a son-in-law into a life-and-death enemy. It was impossible for Song Beishan not to have any regrets. It's not too late to regret. Hand over the incomplete map. Although we can't be friends, at least we won't be enemies. Jiang Tian smiled calmly and said. Chapter 561. I'm afraid the old man has no other choice. Song Beishan let out a wry smile and felt sorry for the old man. Everything was useless. Now that things had come to this point, there was no possibility of turning back. The Song family would never give up on the map of the ruins of immortality. More importantly, the Lu family also supported the fight. You are Kang Tae-chu. Lu Zhengguo's slightly widened eyes were already filled with a biting cold killing intent. He said coldly, you killed my great-grandson. If I don't avenge him, the Lu family will fight you to the death. Don't pretend to be a big shot in front of me and call yourself an old man. Isn't that right? Jiang Tian looked at him disdainfully as if Lu Zhengguo was just an ant. How dare the Lu family challenge me? Then, he ignored Lu Zhengguo's murderous glare and looked at the middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. He shook his head and said, don't tell me their trump card is you. You are only at the ethereal enlightenment level. I can kill you with a snap of my fingers. I am Zhang Jiwei, a disciple of Heavenly Master Zhang Qianlei of Dragon Tiger Mountain. I am here to challenge you on behalf of my master. The middle-aged man in a Taoist robe took a step forward and released a powerful energy. His Taoist robe fluttered like a flag. His face was stern as he smiled proudly. On the night of the full moon during the Shangyuan festival, my master will be waiting for your arrival at the cloud-gazing peak of Yan Mountain. We will discuss the Tao and battle to determine who is superior. His words were like the clashing of swords and spears, sonorous and powerful. The rolling thunder was like an invisible giant wave that pushed in all directions, shaking the wind and snow in the courtyard. The snow and ice on the trees rustled and fell. Special Envoy Shen and the others felt their heads were buzzing even though they covered their ears. They had heard that the Heavenly Master sect specialized in thunder arts and their disciples were different from the ordinary disciples of the Taoist sect. They were as fierce as thunder and lightning. As for Lu Zhengguo and Song Beishan, their eyes flashed with amazement. Zhang Jiwei was one of Zhang Qianlei's senior disciples. He was said to have reached the ethereal enlightenment level. Why are you shouting? Just challenge me. Look at how scared my child is. Jiang Tian glanced at Jiang Wan, who was lying in the snow with a pale face. His face darkened, and his cold eyes shot toward Zhang Jiwei. The instant he came into contact with Jiang Tian's gaze, Zhang Jiwei only felt a monstrous pressure assault him. His head buzzed, and his chest was filled with disgust. His throat tasted sweet, and he actually almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't help but stagger back a few steps. His heart was pounding. This person's spiritual power was actually so strong. If he used 30% of his power, he would probably be able to destroy his soul. When he thought up to here, the arrogance in his entire body instantly vanished, and he hurriedly bowed deeply and said, "It was this junior who was impetuous. Master Kong, please calm your thunderous rage. He can challenge me just because he wants to. Who does he think he is?" Jiang Tian's expression was ugly. A trace of embarrassment appeared on Zhang Jiwei's face, but he didn't dare to say anything. He said in a low voice, "Master Kong, this time you came for the remnant map. My master said that as long as you beat him, the Lu family and the Song family will let bygones be bygones, and the remnant map will also be returned to you. Are you idiots? The remnant map originally belonged to the Jiang family, and it's only natural for it to be returned. How can it be used as a bet? Jiang Tian sneered disdainfully. Not enough. Plus Song Shuangyan's life, the Lu family's assets, and the dojo of Dragon Tiger Mountain. How about that? Well, hearing this, Zhang Jiwei was suddenly startled, and then he looked at Song Beishan and Lu Zhenghua inquisitively. The condition proposed by Jiang Tian was too great for him to make a decision. However, he believed that with Lu Zhenghua and Song Beishan's formidable bearing, they wouldn't back down. If the two of them didn't agree, it would mean that they were afraid of Jiang Tian, and they would lose their power and authority. They would never be able to hold their heads up high in the mortal world, and their foundation of power would be shaken. How would they be able to stand tall in the Huaxia in the future? Song Shuangyan's face turned pale as she looked helplessly at her grandpa and Lu Zhenghua. Song Beishan was still hesitating. But Lu Zhenghua burst into laughter and said with a serious face, "Master Kong, you are indeed broad-minded and bold. His aura is like that of a tiger, swallowing the sun and moon and encompassing the world." "All right, I promise you." He only thought for 3 seconds before he agreed. Sure enough, he was an iron-blooded veteran who had been on the battlefield for decades. He was resolute and unyielding, and his aura was like a dragon, insufferably arrogant. Song Beishan heaved a sigh and nodded. Then he looked at Jiang Tian and begged, "Can we take Shuangyan away? You and Celestial Master Zhang are both immortal state experts. Don't implicate a junior, right?" "No problem." Jiang Tian nodded. Special Envoy Shen was slightly stunned. Then he smiled and reminded him kindly, "Master Kong, aren't you afraid that she will run away if you let her go?" "Special Envoy Shen, how can you say that?" Song Beishan was trembling with anger. He shouted, "The Song family owes him. He also killed my grandson, Song Poju. Which side are you on?" Special Envoy Shen smiled faintly and didn't pay any attention to him. He was a favorite of the chief. Even if Song Beishan had great power, he couldn't touch him. Besides, it was true that the Song family owed Jiang Tian something. Jiang Tian came to ask for it, but you still wanted to kill him. Many senior officials were actually dissatisfied with the Song family. Jiang Tian smiled and said, "I'll let her run away. Even if Song Shuangyan runs to the ends of the earth, I can still kill her." "Do you think she can run to outer space?" Song Shuangyan's face froze after hearing that. She remained silent and looked at the ordinary-looking young man with a complicated expression. She had never thought that she would make such a big mistake. She didn't care at all when Lu Liwei told her about it. She thought that even if Jiang Tian came to Yanjin to ask for the map fragment, he would still be afraid of the Song family's power and obey the law. An old political and business family like the Song family was an expert in playing with power and rules. Even if they killed someone or committed a crime, they could still get away with it. But she did not expect that Jiang Tian would not waste his breath at all. During her birthday party, he would barge into Songtao Manor and kill multiple people with just a flick of his finger. He would destroy the Chinese Renaissance society with just one sentence and blow up the head of Lei Tuan, the fiancé of the Yanjing crown prince. He would then capture her calmly and give the Song family an ultimatum. In the past few days, Jiang Tian didn't step out of Yuhua Manor. He didn't say a word, but he showed his great power. Even though the Song family and the Lu family used decades of political and business power, they were still easily defeated by Jiang Tian's supporters. Until the Song family used their last card and solved the problem in the most primitive and violent way. A battle to determine the winner. Now, she suddenly understood. In fact, Jiang Tian could compete with the Song family and the Lu family in terms of worldly power and wealth. And by relying on martial arts techniques, Jiang Tian also had the ability to easily exterminate the Song clan. The reason why Jiang Tian didn't do it right away was that he wanted to take revenge and bring endless torture and fear to the Song family. This way, it would be much more satisfying than killing her with a single stroke of the knife. "You can go now." I'll go to the top of Mount Yen and fight with Zhang Qianlei on the night of the Lantern Festival. Jiang Tian asked them to leave and turned around. When they went down the mountain, Lu Zhenghua, Song Beishan, Song Shuangyan and Zhang Zhiwei were all silent. The atmosphere was very heavy. Sigh, I don't know if master should do it this time. Zhang Zhiwei felt as if his legs were filled with lead and weighed more than 1,000 pounds. He was anxious. He knew that his master was the most powerful person in the Taoist sect and the only perfected cultivator with Tao body. Mountain, medicine, physiognomy, fortune, and divination. The northern sect's Chuanjin elixir cauldron was the best. The Shinong school's medicine art was the best. The other sects like Maoshan and Lingbao were good at talismans and dharma artifacts. However, the southern sect's celestial master sect was proficient in all 5 arts. Zhang Qianlei used these 5 arts step by step and supported each other. In the end, he nurtured a connate Tao body that was impervious to fire and water and could coexist with heaven and earth. He could summon wind and rain and control thunder. Zhang Qianlei was very low-key. He guarded Mount Yen and protected the Song and Lu families in exchange for preserving the celestial master sect's Tao. The world no longer knew how powerful Zhang Qianlei was. However, Zhang Zhiwei, who had reached the ethereal enlightenment, could feel that his master's power was unfathomable. He even suspected that his master had become a half-step mortal immortal. Unless it was someone from a hidden sect or a grand mist expert like Yi Zhantian, Zhang Zhiwei was confident that his master would win if he fought with any other expert. However, Kang Taichu was different. Kang Taichu was recognized as the most powerful martial artist in the mortal world in Huaxia. He was also a cultivator of both Dharma spells and martial arts. He had once defeated a 28-man mixed army and killed 11 immortals at the Incense Furnace Peak. It was said that the Hongmeng's evaluation of Kang Taichu was that he had reached the peak of immortal state, the peak of Dharma spells, and the peak of physiognomy. It showed that Jiang Tian had reached the peak of martial arts, Dharma spells, and physiognomy. He was invincible as long as mortal immortals did not show up. However, Zhang Zhiwei was relieved when he thought of his master's decades of cultivation and meticulous preparation. Master has been through a century of trials and tribulations and has never been defeated. This time should not be a problem. When the contents of the letter of challenge were released, the entire Yanjin society was stirred. On the night that Jiang Tian rushed into Pine Billow Villa, killed people with a flick of his finger, and kidnapped Song Shuangyan, the news had spread to almost half of the upper-class society in Beijing. After hearing the news, everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it and were filled with indignation. They said that such a criminal must be brought to justice. However, the rescue operation launched by the Song family and the Lu family was thwarted. Everyone felt that something was wrong. Who could resist the monstrous authority of the Song clan and the Lu clan, their overwhelming power that could topple mountains and overturn seas? Just as all kinds of rumors were spreading, an earth-shattering piece of news broke out. Zhang Qianlei challenged Kang Taichu to a duel at the peak of Mount Yen on the night of the full moon during the Shangyuan festival. Many people didn't know Zhang Qianlei. However, Kang Taichu had become a household name in Yanjin recently. Chapter 562. Last winter, he had killed 11 immortals and destroyed the Bai family on the Incense Burner Peak. He was known as the arbiter of martial arts in Yanjin. It could be said that in many people's eyes, he was the person that could not be offended in Beijing. He was also the person that all the famous families wanted to befriend. Who is Zhang Qianlei? You actually dare to challenge Jiang Taichu? You're really bold. Most of the rich people only knew a little about the cultivation world. They didn't even know that Kang Taichu was the one who broke into Pine Mountain Villa. They only thought it was a show. However, when the news spread to the martial arts and spellcasters, it suddenly became an uproar. Zhang Qianlei has come out of seclusion and is fighting with Kang Taichu on the top of Mount Yen. Many people were dumbfounded. Ordinary people didn't know, but to them, Zhang Qianlei's name was like thunder in their ears. Zhang Qianlei was as famous as Yi Tianren before and after the founding of the country. People said that, Yi Tianren in the north and Zhang Qianlei in the south. Because one of them specialized in martial arts and the other was good at Dharma spells, they were also called, Yi Tianren of martial arts and Zhang Qianlei of Dharma spells. During the Republic of China, Miyamoto Jinoto and other Japanese overlords led the Cherry Blossom Society to Huaxia and looted treasures everywhere. They used cannons, spears, ninjas and onmyoges to destroy the Maoshan sect and invade the main hall of the Chuanjin sect. But on Mount Longhu, Zhang Qianlei had charged through the rain of bullets, soaring thousands of meters into the clouds, and slashed a helicopter with his sword, forcing Miyamoto Geniki and the heroes of the Sakura Society to abandon their swords and admit defeat, promising never to set foot on Mount Longhu again. Before and after the founding of the country, Huaxia was turbulent. Yi Tianren swept through Huaxia, exiled the Han sect, destroyed the 9-story pagoda, killed the Blue Man Society and the Old Man of the Green Gang. He was invincible in Huaxia. What was little known was that dozens of martial artists from the Yellow Flame Iron Brigade had charged up Mount Longhu in an attempt to take advantage of the chaos to flatten the Celestial Master sect. However, Zhang Qianlei had killed 4 Grand Masters with one finger. Even Yi Tianren, who had reached the immortal state at that time, didn't dare to provoke Zhang Qianlei and ignored the Heavenly Master sect of Dragon Tiger Mountain. However, later on, Huaxia promoted science, got rid of the 4 olds, and emphasized martial arts to suppress Taoism. Science and technology prospered, and Taoist techniques were no longer popular. The Celestial Master sect of Longhu Mountain had no choice but to seal itself off for 10 years. Zhang Qianlei had to live under the Song family's roof in exchange for the continuation of the Celestial Master sect. This kind of person who was as famous as Yi Tianren and had never appeared in the world was actually going to come out of seclusion. This could be said to be world-shaking. Zhang Qianlei, a perfected Taoist body cultivator, was as famous as Yi Tianren back then. After decades of seclusion, he would either reach the peak of the Taoist body or become a half-step human immortal. He deserves to be called the most powerful Dharma master. And Yi Tianren's whereabouts are unknown. Kang Teichu's achievements are brilliant and his reputation as an arbiter is known throughout Huaxia. He can be called the most powerful martial artist in the world. Now, the most powerful Dharma master, Zhang Qianlei, is going to fight against Kang Teichu. It can be said to be a top battle between Dharma spells and martial arts. Someone shouted excitedly and his body trembled with excitement. A perfected Taoist body cultivator is on par with an immortal state warrior, and both of them are at the peak of their respective stages. Such a battle has never happened in 100 years. It hasn't even happened in hundreds of years. Someone's eyes lit up. He only felt that his life was worth it to be able to witness this battle. Sigh, I lost to Zhang Qianlei in the past. I wonder what level he has reached today. Maybe he's already a half-step human immortal. Boom! In the Chuanjin sect's headquarters in Mount Zhongnan, an expert in a green Taoist robe walked out of an alchemy room. His aura was powerful and his eyes were burning with flames. Even though it was the middle of winter, there was an extreme heat in the air. The surrounding snowflakes were all vaporized in an instant. If Jiang Tian was here, he would find that his control of fire energy had reached the realm of perfection. Moreover, his fire energy was bright and glorious, several times more powerful than Lin Zhenyu who had absorbed the fire poison of the magma for 20 years. Sect Master. In the sect, countless disciples in Taoist robes kowtowed together with reverence in their eyes. Let's go to Mount Yen. The current sect master of the Chuanjin sect, Qiu Xuanji, looked toward the north with deep eyes. Similar scenes were happening in many Taoist sects, such as Shangqingmao Mountain, Yuanyang sect, Lingbao sect, and many other Taoist sections. It could be said that Zhang Qianlei's appearance alarmed the entire Taoist spell world. No one could sit still. I didn't expect that old monster to come out of hiding. It's hard to say who will win this battle with Master Kang. The 6 major martial arts families of Yan Jin and the heroes of the Heavenly Alliance were worried for Jiang Tian when they heard the news. If he loses this battle, all his previous efforts will be in vain. Qin Zhong's face was extremely solemn. He knew that this battle was very important. I'm afraid that the Song and Lu families will really conquer the entire Huaxia. After all, they have put in a lot of effort to form the Huaxia Revival Alliance and laid a good foundation. I believe that Master Kong will win. What bullshit is Zhang Qianlei? He should have fallen apart by now. Kang Taechu has killed Miyamoto Genichi and fought an army head-on. Chen Zifen snorted disdainfully. However, his slightly trembling hands revealed his nervousness and uneasiness. Zifen, there are many secrets that you don't know. Qin Zhong shook his head and sighed. Miyamoto Genichi led the Cherry Blossom Society to invade China, but they were no match for Zhang Qianlei. Zhang Qianlei could fight an army head-on during the Republic of China. After decades of cultivation, it's hard to imagine how powerful he has become. After listening to Qin Zhong's story, Chen Zifen and the other juniors were shocked as if they had seen a ghost in broad daylight. Do you think that the Bai family and I didn't dare to touch the Lu family and the Song family because we were afraid of the government? Lin Fengmian smiled wryly. Zhang Qianlei is the old monster. The Lu family and the Song family have protected the Taoist sect during the upheaval era. Zhang Qianlei is indebted to them. I heard from Huaxia that Kang Taechu is going to fight again. An overlord in Huaxia, Zhang Qianlei, has challenged Kang Taechu. Someone posted this message on the dark web. Who is Zhang Qianlei? I've never heard of him. How dare he challenge Kang Taechu? Someone couldn't believe it. He must be very powerful. Otherwise, why would he challenge Zhang Qianlei? Many overlords in the dark world had never heard of Zhang Qianlei's name. They were confused and called for the observer to reveal the truth. Zhang Qianlei was born in 1901. When he was born, it was a snowy winter. However, there was a thunderstorm. His mother was frightened and gave birth to him. When he was born, he was surrounded by 5-colored lightning and thousands of lightning bolts. That's why he was named Qianlei. He is the 63rd Heavenly Master of the Dragon Tiger sect in Huaxia and the last Heavenly Master in Huaxia. During the Republic of China, he was on par with Yi Tianren and was known as the best Taoist spell master in the world. He defeated Miyamoto Genichi and preserved the Tao of the Dragon Tiger sect. Finally, the observer appeared and gave him a piece of important news. Isn't that a bit too impressive? He defeated Miyamoto Genichi. How come I've never heard of him before? Some people couldn't believe it. Zhang Qianlei is a reclusive overlord who rarely shows himself. He has never publicized his achievements. Miyamoto Genichi's defeat to him was a disgrace to his life. Why would he publicize it? Someone explained. He was born with lightning. Is he a lightning elemental arcanist? Lightning elemental arcanists are the rarest. Someone said. He sensed it at 6, entered the Tao at 10, reached the mystic enlightenment at 22 and formed a Tao body at 60. It is said that he can live up to 300 years old. Tao body. What is that? A realm of Huaxia's Dharma spells. His body is indestructible and is comparable to an immortal state overlord. He once killed 3 paladins from the Pantheon who went to Dragon Tiger Mountain in Huaxia to steal treasures. When he was 40 years old, he killed several martial Tao grandmasters who challenged him with the lightning elemental arcanist. How terrifying! As Zhang Qianlei's origin, status, and achievements were dug out one by one, everyone was more and more shocked. They didn't expect that there was such a powerful overlord in Huaxia. We must go. It can be said to be the most brilliant battle in 1,000 years. Except for the battle between the Western sages and the immortals in history, no other battle can surpass the impact of this battle. In the end, many Dark World overlords were shocked and quickly rushed to Huaxia. They hated that their parents didn't give birth to them with 2 more legs. Zhang Qianlei had defeated Miyamoto Genichi, and even Miyamoto Genichi had stepped into the perfected immortal state. Moreover, Zhang Qianlei, who had been cultivating in seclusion for decades, might have stepped into the immortal state. No one knew. Compared to Zhang Qianlei, who had been in seclusion for 40 years, Jiang Tian, who had massacred Jinling and killed many Dark World overlords, was more famous in the world and received more attention. He killed Xiao Bin on Moling Lake, killed Wang Chongyan on Hasa Island, and killed Miyamoto Geniki on Mount Fuji. What was more terrifying was that he had defeated the 28th Japanese Army and Air Force Brigade. He should be the only person in the world who could fight an army head-on. This time, we will send out overlords to observe and see how much Kang Taechu has grown. In the Arctic Cape, the Wolf King Alexander suddenly shrank his body and turned into a human. He walked out of the camp and looked to the east. Artemis, continue to observe Kang Taechu this time. And Athena, you have to go. He already has the strength to fight with us. And this Zhang Qianlei can't be underestimated. He once killed the overlords of the Pantheon. In Europe, the Pantheon was surrounded by holy light. Zeus's face was unprecedentedly solemn. He looked at the Pantheon and said in a deep voice, "Let's go to Huaxia. I can die without regrets if I can witness the battle between the Dharma spells and the top martial artists in Huaxia." In Japan, there was an old and hunched kendo teacher who still walked out of the kendo dojo and rushed towards the airport. Not only Russia and Japan, but also India, South America, Europe, and the United States. All kinds of hidden overlords gathered in Yanjin. Many of these overlords had lived longer than Lin Zhenyu and Yi Tianren and belonged to the same era as Yi Tianren. Some of them even couldn't sit still. A Tao body immortal master who has been cultivating for decades and a top 3 overlord on the power roll. Both of them are at the peak of the immortal state. Their battle could stimulate their potential and make them reach the half-step mortal deity or even the real mortal deity, which is the level of saints in the West. An immortal state overlord said expectantly, "We need to observe carefully. It is very enlightening for us." Chapter 563. According to the available information, there hadn't been a mortal deity or a saint in the world for 100 years. It was said that Zeus of the Hall of Gods and the blood ancestor of the Dark Parliament had sent saints during the battle, but after all, it had been too long and no one had seen it with their own eyes. Numerous experts at the Godrank realm were unable to escape the corrosion of time if they didn't step foot into the human immortal realm and saint realm, and they became old and withered successively. For many immortal state overlords, billions of dollars were at their fingertips and they had no other desire other than to become a mortal deity or a saint. That was why all the overlords around the world were heading to Yanjin. This time, unlike the battle at Moling Lake in Jin City, it was happening in the capital of kindness. Chao Shixiang was facing a formidable enemy and he commanded Yi Zhantian and the Huaxialong formation to keep many overlords out of Yanjin. Zhan Long and many special forces were dispatched to guard and defend the major political and business families. They were on standby, fearing that something might go wrong. If these powerhouses were to cause any trouble, it would be an enormous disaster. Heavens, the commotion caused by this battle is too big, right? I heard that many overlords have come to the world. Countless people were shocked and shocked. Grandpa, the situation is out of control. Zhang Danfeng was dumbfounded. Things had gone far beyond his expectation. He thought it was just a battle of power, but he didn't expect that the Song and Lu families had such a powerful immortal behind them. Jiang Tian had already killed the members of the Song and Lu families. What if Zhang Danfeng came for revenge? Then, wouldn't the Zhang clan be wiped out like a baby chick? Yeah, I didn't expect Lu Zhenghua to have this trump card. When he said it, I was dumbfounded and forgot to stop Jiang Tian. Zhang Zhenghua was anxious. His position was special and he had a lot of connections with the Ministry of State Security. He had access to some historical files and he already knew how terrifying Zhang Qianlei was. Can you stop him? Do you know who Jiang Tian is? He will listen to you. Zhang Jinghua frowned and shouted. There's no turning back for an arrow that has been shot. The only thing we can do now is to go all the way. When everyone heard this, they could only sigh. Jiang Tian, I've just hugged your leg hair, but I haven't even hugged your thigh, and now I'm facing such a severe test. You can't lose. On the morning of the Lantern Festival, on Mount Yen. This was one of the famous mountain ranges in the north. West from Wangquan of Zhangjiago and Yang River within Huai-an territory, east to Shanhai Pass, north to Bahang Plateau, Seven Elders Picture Mountain, Nuruur Tiger Mountain, southwest to Guangzhou and Taihang Mountains. Yen Mountain also held a high position in the military. In both ancient and modern wars, it was a battleground for military strategists. In the depths of the lead-gray clouds, heavy snowflakes fluttered down. An old man in a green robe and a girl in a red robe with a long sword on her back were climbing up the rugged mountain path. The girl's red Taoist robe was blood red, even redder than the maple leaves on Fragrant Mountain. A gust of wind blew, and her red dress fluttered like a wheel, revealing a pair of naked, jade-like legs. Not only were her legs beautiful, but they also gave people a feeling of surging strength. Her facial features were delicate, and her eyes were picturesque. Her temperament was ethereal, but at the same time, there was a strong murderous aura around her. Her murderous aura almost rose to the sky. Before the snowflakes could get close to her, they were immediately split apart by an invisible giant knife and shot out in all directions. She looked at the tall old man next to her and said, "Dad, in this battle between Kang Taechu and Zhang Qianlei, who has a better chance of winning?" "It's hard to say. Zhang Qianlei was as famous as your grandfather. He had already formed a Taoist body and was proficient in thunder arts. He could definitely defeat the Bai couple and Miyamoto." Yi Zhantian said with a wry smile. "How is Zhang Qianlei's strength compared to my sect?" Yi Karen frowned. "Kunlun." Yi Zhantian smiled bitterly and said, "Kunlun, Tianshan, Amei, Qingcheng, Diansong, and Wudong are all semi-hidden sections. Kunlun is the origin of all Taoist sects in the world. It has a history of 2,000 years and is the leader of all major sections. Of course, Kunlun is the most powerful one. You were recognized by the sect master of Kunlun and became a half-step immortal state at the age of 22. You were even faster than your grandfather when you were young. Our family's cultivation methods are all incomplete inheritances of Kunlun. If we can obtain the complete inheritance, I am confident that I will be able to fight against Jiang Taichu within 5 years." Yi Karen's eyes burned with passion. Yi Zhantian added, "But you can't underestimate Zhang Qianlei. The Celestial Master sect of Longhu Mountain is the #1 Taoist sect in the world. Zhang Qianlei is also the #1 Taoist in the world. Father, don't worry. Although the Condor team has been destroyed, I will work even harder in my cultivation after joining the Kunlun realm." Yi Karen said proudly as determination flashed in his eyes. "I have told you that Beidasheng's Condor team may not last long. It is obvious that they are trying to suppress the Huaxiaolong formation. But you just had to join." Yi Zhantian said helplessly. "Hee, I joined the Condor team because I want to fight more." Yi Karen said flatly. "I'm not the least bit interested in your power struggles. In my eyes, Beidasheng, Lu Lishuan, and Song Shuangyan are just ants trying to snatch a grain of rice. Karen, you are now half-step immortal state. But you shouldn't be so rash and underestimate the heroes of the world." Yi Zhantian stopped in his tracks and fixed his gaze on his daughter as he said those words. He was obsessed with martial arts. He married late and had a daughter late in life. He only had one daughter when he was in his 40s. He doted on his daughter, who had stepped into the half-step divine realm in her 20s and was extremely talented. However, he was also very strict with her in terms of martial arts. "I am also an ant, but I am the one who looks up at the sky," Yi Karen said softly. "As far as I know, Song Shuangyan and Jiang Tian fought because of the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality," Yi Zhantian said flatly. Yi Karen didn't hide her disdain for Song Shuangyan. At the end of the day, she still wants to use the Kunlun sect to her advantage. She uses her power for her own gain. She leads a group of useless people around the mortal world to find more useless people to kill. When had she ever painstakingly cultivated? When had she ever strengthened herself? When had she ever participated in a real battle? Her so-called resourcefulness is nothing more than trash in the face of true strength. Isn't she being forced into a corner by Jiang Taichu like a stray dog? I, on the other hand, want to rely on my own strength. I want to strengthen myself. I don't want to waste my time fighting for power or the illusory ruins of immortality. I am afraid that in your heart, even I am an ant fighting for a grain of rice, right? Yi Zhantian took a deep look at his daughter, who had shocked him more and more, and said with a smile. Yes. Yi Karen said without hesitation. Karen, I am very happy that you can think like this. Yi Zhantian was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled with admiration. Huaxia's name has always been a taboo for venerables and elders. But I am called Zhantian and you are called Karen. You didn't avoid your grandfather's name. Do you know why? Strength is everything. We pursue the endless martial arts without any taboo. Yi Karen said seriously. Grandpa wants us to forget him. He is a towering mountain. He will not be our shelter nor our obstacle. We must rely on ourselves to surpass him and surpass him. Exactly. Yi Zhantian nodded and said with emotion, wholeheartedly pursue the path of martial arts. No one can stop you. I have seen this quality in Kang Taichu. Now I see it in you too. Let's go. Yi Karen said no more. She leaped into the air, leaving no trace in the snow. Like a bird, she shot toward the peak. Her movement technique was extremely fast. Her blood-red short skirt was like a flower blooming between the snowy cliffs and the black walls. Every time it bloomed, she would move forward dozens of feet. Suddenly, she would appear on another mountain peak and then gradually disappear. Soon, the two arrived at the highest peak of Mount Yan. It was also the highest peak in the Yanjing city area, the cloud-watching peak. On the peak, white snow covered the peak. On a huge rock covered with ice and snow, an old man sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. It was unknown how long he had been sitting there. His hair and the corners of his clothes were covered in white ice. His entire person was like an ice sculpture, sitting there motionlessly. He was very old. His body was thin and stooped. However, he was brimming with a powerful aura. Like 10,000 mountains, he was able to suppress the earth and hold up the sky. Junior Zhan Tian greets Master Lei. Yi Zhantian was shocked the moment he reached the peak. He bowed deeply and saluted. Zhantian, you are only half a step away from the immortal state. Your progress has disappointed me. Zhang Qianlei did not open his eyes. He smiled and then a small piece of ice fell off his face. I am ashamed. Zhantian's talent is not good enough. I have been in seclusion for 20 years. Yi Zhantian said with a wry smile. This little girl is quite talented. Zhang Qianlei opened his eyes. Cold light flashed in his eyes. He said with a wry smile. Half a step away from the immortal state in her 20s. What a pity. It seems that she has mastered the art of Kunlun. Has she been accepted as a disciple by the sect leader of Kunlun? I don't stand a chance. Master Lei, although the Song family and the Lu family have helped you in preserving the orthodoxy of the Celestial Master sect, you have been in charge of the Song family for decades. You have repaid most of their kindness. Why do you have to stand up for them? Yi Zhantian's eyes flashed with a hint of worry. Besides, it is just a junior who owes Kang Taichu something. Just ask her to return the favor to Kang Taichu. You're like a retired emperor in the Song clan. Your words are like gold and jade. I'm sure the two clan heads will listen to your orders. Recently, many overlords from the Dark World have sneaked into Yanjin to observe the battle. The Huaxiaolong formation is about to collapse. He said earnestly. You're like a living fossil. You're the best Taoist sorcery in the world. Jiang Taichu has also swept through East Asia and Southeast Asia, killing Wang Chongyan, Qiao Bin, Miyamoto, and other powerful enemies. If the two of you fight, any mishap will be a great loss to the cultivation world of Huaxia. God damn it! Yi Zhantian, you are so rude. Do you think I am no match for Kang Teichu? Zhang Qianlei suddenly shouted and cursed. I will kill Kang Teichu and no one can stop me. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.